Konoha, in Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked out the window comfortably and drank tea. The frequent good news made him very proud. This is Naruto, whom he regards as the best successor. It's just fighting. The other 4 countries of the 5 major countries surrendered easily. The book should be in the hands of the daimyo by now, right? But it's a pity. How could Naruto be willing to be inferior to others? Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen fell ill directly and cut off all contact with the daimyo. Regarding Naruto's treatment of those corrupt nobles, Sarutobi Hiruzen naturally already knew the news. From this point, it can be judged what Naruto wants to do. Not only to unify the ninja village, but also to reorganize the world and reshape the rules of the ninja world. For this, Sarutobi Hiruzen does not know whether it is good or bad. But now he is powerless to stop it. Now he only thought about giving Naruto the position under his butt after Naruto finished his journey. If it was before, Sarutobi Hiruzen might have the idea of sitting for another 10 years. Now, he doesn't want to end up like those corrupt nobles. Report. The Kakashi unit successfully conquered the country of the river, the country. The Might Guy team has successfully conquered the land of Yu and the land of bears. The Uchiha Fugaku unit has successfully conquered the land of stars, the land of tea. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and said, "Let them push on and follow in Naruto's footsteps." Anbu nodded immediately. Yes. With a whoosh, Anbu disappeared. But then an Anbu appeared. Master Hokage, the witch of the Ghost Country, said that the Ghost Country can be attached to the Fire Country, but the Ghost Country has its own mission. A sprite? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and said, "Reassure the witches in the Kingdom of Ghosts, once the sprites appear, we will immediately send people to help seal them." Yes, Master Hokage. Anbu nodded, and then disappeared. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked out the window and said silently in his heart, "Naruto, although you are developing outside, I will protect this inheritance for you before you come back, and wait for you to come back." Report. Master Hokage, a huge forest suddenly appeared in the land of winds. Suddenly an Anbu appeared and reported a very strange news. Forest? Land of wind? Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned. Isn't there a desert there? How could there be a forest suddenly? Are you reading it wrong? It's actually a mirage? Anbu shook his head and said affirmatively. A dozen of us are very sure that it's not an illusion, nor a mirage, but a real forest. This. Sarutobi Hiruzen was completely taken aback. How could a large forest suddenly appear? Or in the land of winds full of deserts? Etc. Sarutobi Hiruzen was familiar with this scene. He looked in the direction of the Death Forest. At first, the reason for the formation of the Forest of Death slowly appeared in his mind. No way? Is it really? It's been really busy. Kakashi waited with a pair of dead fish eyes. Asuma said helplessly, "What can I do? Compared to that kid Naruto, we don't have any difficulty at all." Kakashi had even more headaches. Although it is true, it is really tiring to travel to so many places in a day. Hong looked at the 2 lazy guys seriously. "Kakashi, you are the leader of our team. If you take the lead so lazy, how can you set an example for your subordinates?" "The task is not over yet. Next is Tien Jui. Tanokuni." Kakashi frowned slightly. "Is that where the Itonin village led by Orochimaru is located?" "There is some trouble there. Orochimaru has too many hidden bases." Thinking of this, Kakashi became even more tired. The strength of Orochimaru itself is not impressive, not to mention Orochimaru's character of cunning rabbits and 3 caves. I am afraid that Tien Jiguo has at least a dozen Orochimaru bases. There may be dozens of them. If we have to find out one by one, I'm afraid it will exhaust them to death. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go. Kurenai Yuhi stared, only in the demeanor of a female ninja. Asuma looked intoxicated at Kuroko's leaving back, and then sighed deeply. "Don't think too much, you have no chance." Kakashi splashed cold water indifferently. Immediately, Asuma rolled his eyes. "Are you really going to die if you don't speak?" "Really, it's annoying to see you." Kakashi shrugged. He is also advising. After all, if things go on like this, Asuma might end up alone forever. Obviously Yuhi Hong didn't have any thoughts about him. He also kept pestering words, which was obviously a waste of time. But Naruto is working so hard, we have to speed up. They just got the news of Naruto's victory over the Land of Earth and the Land of Thunder. Although they don't understand why the 2 great powers were defeated in one day, they can only believe that the result is already in front of them. After all, isn't there one thing Naruto has done to shock them? That's a lot. Rain Shinobi Village, Shao Organization Base. Akatsuki organized everyone to gather together. Everyone's complexion is very dignified. Obviously the current situation is beyond their imagination. Where is Deidara? Pain glanced around and found that someone was missing, so he immediately asked with a frown. That kid, defected, Kakuzu said coldly. Do you need me to go after him and kill him? No, Pain shook his head. Our existence should not be a secret to Uzumaki Naruto. He must have known about our existence, that's why he took Rain Shinobi Village as the target after Land of Thunder and Land of Earth. Obviously from the distance point of view, we have to be closer. Everyone else was stunned. Hidan was even a little happy. Does this mean that we are stronger than the 5 major countries? That's natural, Scorpion said lightly. We work together to eliminate one of the 5 major countries with ease. Dried persimmon Ghost Shark glanced at him, but did not speak. Conan spoke up. Now that the Land of Thunder and the Land of Earth have been conquered, Uzumaki Naruto may be on his way. Yes. A sudden sound attracted everyone's attention. They turned their heads suddenly, and Hidan and the others drew out their weapons directly. Orochimaru came out from a corner with a smile, and let out a characteristic laugh. The vigilance is too low. I stood there for 3 minutes and no one noticed me. Pain frowned slightly, looking at Ju. Absolutely, what's going on? Black Zetsu said. I have taken a fancy to one of his skills, and he can come in handy. As for which technique, he did not say clearly. Pain nodded, but his brows did not loosen. He turned to Orochimaru and said. Then you are now a temporary member of the Akatsuki organization. Are you sure? That fellow Itachi is there. Sasuke's eyes were full of killing intent. Without turning his head, he asked Naruto next to him. I'm sure he's there. Naruto said affirmatively. Don't worry, I will give you a chance to be alone. Others, I will talk to Ya and they will guide you away. I think he also wants to have a chance to be alone with you. The murderous intent in Sasuke's eyes grew stronger. There was even a cold feeling on his body. The closest tooth couldn't help but rubbed against his arm, and stepped aside a little. He muttered softly in his mouth. Just like a refrigerator, put the drink on him and it will be chilled soon. Shikamaru said speechlessly. Don't play tricks, don't you want to be beaten by him? Fang immediately covered his mouth, and looked at Sasuke cautiously. Stop talking. Neji rolled his eyes and had a panoramic view of the situation several kilometers ahead. The enemy seemed to know we were coming and was already waiting there. The clothes and appearance are the same as what Naruto said, it should be the Akatsuki organization. Naruto nodded and said. Remember what I told you about the traits, except for the one from Rinnegan, the others are left to you. Also, don't disturb Sasuke's duel with his big brother. He's not my big brother, Sasuke said coldly. My big brother has been dead since he defected. The others fell silent immediately. Naruto said lightly. Arrive. Swish swish swish. A group of people fell to the ground one after another, neatly. Opposite them, there are members of the Akatsuki organization, plus an Orochimaru. Deidara is gone, but there is one more world. Neji said flatly. Maybe it's good news too. After all, Deidara and we can be regarded as people who have practiced together. Tooth couldn't help but said. Can't you still make a move W-degree? I really didn't know you were such a mother-in-law. Neji's cold eyes turned sideways, seeing the murderous intent in his eyes. Fang immediately covered his mouth, indicating that he would not speak. Shikamaru said helplessly. Sooner or later, you will be taught a lesson because of this mouth. Definitely. Pain stands at the C position, gazing at Uzumaki Naruto, who is also at the C position. I will accept the 9 tails in your body. His voice was calm, as if he was saying another matter of course. Of course, his strength is also where he dared to say that. With Rinnegan's power, Pain still doesn't know what failure is. Naruto smiled and said. It can't be used here, let's change to another place. However, he hadn't waited for him to act. Beside him, Sasuke couldn't stand it anymore after seeing that familiar figure. Whoosh. Ding. The kunai in the hands of the 2 brothers collided and made a crisp sound. But Sasuke flew Uchiha Itachi straight out with great power. Is this the beginning? Hidan picked up his scythe and laughed. These brats are simply not enough for me to kill. Kakuzu said coldly. Idiot, don't think too highly of yourself. Though they are young, they all have the strength of elite Jonin. Just a bunch of brats. Scorpion said lightly. Look at me making them all puppets. Hoshigaki Kisame looked back at Uchiha Itachi who was ejected, feeling a little distressed. Is it okay to let Itachi fight with his brother? I'm a little worried. With a swish, paper wings appeared behind Conan and flew towards Kongshin. Everyone immediately became tense. It seems that the next moment will be an extremely fierce melee. Naruto smiled and said, "Go and pick your own opponents. Don't be careless. But don't worry, with me here, you will be fine." Everyone's confidence in Naruto is naturally very sufficient. After all, they've seen Naruto bring a dead man back to life. As long as there is a whole body, they believe that Naruto can save them. If that is the case, then what is there to worry about? It's over. Women fight women. The little Sakura Ino Hinata flew into the sky with 4 people every day and went straight to Conan. The corner of Conan's mouth twitched. He didn't expect that he would be besieged. Knowing the unfathomable strength of these little girls, Conan didn't confront them head-on, but decisively moved out of the way to avoid being besieged. Give me that shark face. Xiao Li directly chose his opponent. He looks strong. Shino looked at Scorpion. Is that a puppet? Leave the puppet's words to me. A large number of parasites emerged from his body and went straight to the snail. Leave that arrogant guy to me. The teeth were fast and rushed straight towards Hidan. I feel like I left a big fish for me. Shikamaru scratched his head. Choji stood beside him decisively. Although the pig is gone, the deer and butterfly are still there. Still able to play with. Neji locked his eyes on the strange body of Ju. The battle scene became very chaotic for a while. God Luo Tien sign. Pain shot suddenly, knocking the nearest tooth flying and breaking his balance. Seeing this, Hidan immediately rushed over with his eyes shining, waving his scythe. Seeing that the sharp sickle was about to hit him, Yin couldn't help but widen his eyes. Oops. If you get blood from this guy. Naruto's warning came to his mind. If you meet a guy with a scythe, be careful not to let him get your blood. He has a strange forbidden technique, which allows the opponent to share the injury with himself. But he himself is immortal, so the one who died will only be the other party who shared his physical injury. Am I the first to lose? Obviously it's only just begun. The teeth are full of unwillingness. Of course he is not afraid of being killed, because he knows that Naruto will definitely save him. But everyone planned to flex their muscles, but if he died here so easily, it would be too shameful. Akamaru. Teeth yelled. Immediately, Akamaru used a transformation technique, turning into a white snow wolf as tall as a man, and directly flew Hidan out. At the critical moment, Ya Yik was saved by his longtime partner. Thanks, Akamaru. Sitting on the ground, he stroked Akamaru's head with his teeth. Then he looked at Hidan seriously. Next, you won't be caught by the enemy so casually. Whoosh. Naruto seized the short cooling time of the god Luo Tianzhong, rushed in front of Pain, and led him away from the battlefield. Let's leave this place to them. General against general, king against king. That's only fair. Pain looked at Naruto with calm eyes, and a black stick suddenly condensed in his hand. Swish judgment. As Konoha's insect F***er? The scorpion hiding in Fei Luhu's body frowned slightly. This kind of enemy is not an opponent he is good at dealing with. The puppet master is good at one-to-many, but not good at dealing with a bunch of bugs. The opponent obviously knew this too, so he chose himself as the opponent without hesitation. Shino pushed the sunglasses on the bridge of his nose, then said, "Your opponent is me. Please don't think about disturbing other people's battles." Scorpion glanced at the other members of the Shao organization in the other battle group, knowing that he could only rely on himself now. Ji-Nai strikes first. Secret technique insect jade. A large number of parasites rushed over. These parasites will instantly cover the enemy's body, and then eat up the enemy's chakra. According to the original estimate, the effect of jade is like this. But now Shino's bugs are not common bugs. They are bugs that can explode. Scorpion naturally did not expect this. Even though he knew he couldn't let these bugs get close, otherwise they would be able to cause damage to Fei Luhu's body if they got into Fei Luhu's body. So the scorpion retreated quickly at the first moment, and at the same time, Fei Luhu spat out a pipe, and a flame ray sprayed out, burning all the Saibai insects in front of him to death. Fortunately, the flame can burn to death. The scorpion breathed a sigh of relief. At least he could rely on the flames to wipe out bugs in a large area. This will undoubtedly reduce his stress, but is that really the case? There are many parasites burned to death, but there are more parasites surrounding it from both sides. Moreover, Ji now had already seen the power of the flame, so he detonated it directly before the parasite got close to Fei Luhu's body. Boom! A violent and long-lasting explosion sounded loudly, enveloping the scorpion's crimson luhu inside. What? Scorpion shouted in shock, but could no longer escape from the explosion. The violent explosion completely submerged Fei Luhu. Shino stood on the spot, watching the scene of the explosion calmly. After a while, the explosion gradually died down. A shadow emerged from the smoke. It is very similar to the figure of Fei Luhu. But as the smoke dissipated, it could be seen that Fei Luhu had turned into a tattered appearance. However, the scorpion hiding inside was intact. You actually blew up my puppet, you really have a hand. Scorpion looks very calm, but his heart is already extremely. Even if Fei Luhu is not his most proud work, it must be unbearable for him, a person who admires technology, to have his work destroyed so wantonly by the enemy. In that case, then you will be my next puppet. As Scorpion spoke, he suddenly opened a scroll. After a burst of white smoke drifted past, hundreds of puppets suddenly appeared in the sky. Shino frowned slightly. Is this what Naruto called 100 machine exercise? Scorpion frowned, a little surprised. I didn't expect you to know this. But it doesn't matter, anyway, you have nowhere to escape. I relied on this to destroy a country overnight. Shino said lightly. The country you wiped out certainly doesn't have a qualified ninja. You. Scorpion was so angry that he controlled hundreds of puppets and rushed towards Ji-Nai without hesitation. Before the puppet arrived, countless hidden weapons such as Kanai Chianban had already fallen like raindrops. Secret technique. Insect wall. Shino casually used a defensive move. The parasites gather and form a solid wall. The hidden weapons are blocked, but the attacks of the puppets cannot be blocked. But for Shino, quantity doesn't mean anything to him. In front of the self-explosive parasite, everything is vain. Destroy them all. Shino said calmly. Countless explosions sounded immediately. Scorpion's eyes widened, looking at the series of explosions in front of him in disbelief. He worked so hard to slaughter countless villages to create a puppet army, but he was completely wiped out by the bug-manipulating kid in front of him in an instant? This explosion lasted for a long time. When the smoke and dust from the explosion dissipated, only a large pile of puppet fragments remained on the ground. No part of the puppet is intact. Destroyed very thoroughly. Okay, it's time to show your true strength. Ji-Nai pushed his glasses, his expression was still very calm. It was as if the enemy he faced was not a genius puppet master, but just an unknown pawn. Damn brat. Scorpion roared angrily, and took out another scroll at the same time. In this scroll is his most perfect work. Human puppet Third Cage. It was an honor to play against Third Cage. Shino looked up at Third Cage, who was made into a puppet. His eyes hidden behind the black mirror were full of regret. Unfortunately, not at your peak. Shut up, brat. Scorpion yelled frantically. I'm going to turn you into mincemeat today. Scorpion's proud masterpiece is a human puppet, which can perfectly inherit all the abilities of the puppet during its lifetime. And the ability of Third Cage during his lifetime is blood succession limit magnet style. Under the control of the Scorpion, a large amount of sand and iron gathered together, forming a huge square in the air. The iron body cube pressed towards Shino with tremendous pressure. Just like Shie said, Shino should be crushed into meat paste. Ji-Nai looked up, and several self-explosive parasites rushed up. But the explosion didn't have any effect on the 4 cubes. Is it useless? Ji-Nai said indifferently, and then left in a flash. Since the blasting technique is useless, then use another method. Deal with the ontology. Ji-Nai instantly appeared in front of Xie, which made Xie stunned. But Xie's combat experience is so rich, seeing Ji-Nai taking the initiative to send him to the door, his lower abdomen immediately opened, and an iron chain was thrown out suddenly. At such a close distance, no one would be able to react to this sudden attack. The same is true for Shino in front of Scorpio. The iron chain with violent force directly cut Ji-Nai into 2 pieces. But this time, the complexion of the Scorpion directly changed. He knows that his iron chain is powerful, but it's not that strong yet. In other words, he didn't think his iron chain could achieve this effect. There must be fraud. However, before he retreated quickly, Ji-Nai in front of him turned into a pile of parasites. Mystery insect clone. Boom! Shino, who was hiding in a safe place, pushed his glasses and said calmly. Seeing the enemy disappear and suddenly appear, do you think that it is the enemy's body? I heard that you have a wealth of combat experience. I don't think this level of deception can't work. It seems that I overestimated you too much. A mushroom cloud slowly floated into the sky. Under the mushroom cloud, it was a scorpion that was blown unconscious. The third cage puppet, which was out of control, also lay beside it. "Can't move?" Shikamaru said with a smile. The shadow imitation technique was successful. "I'll leave it to you next time." Choji blew through his nose sharply, and then yelled. Expansion Jutsu. Meat Bomb Chariot. Skilled combat coordination is a tradition of the Ino Shika Cho Sanin. Although their pig went to another place today, the two of them have no problem. Small tricks. The controlled angle can't move. But he didn't bother to move. After his body squirmed for a while, 4 masked monsters suddenly emerged. Seeing this, Shikamaru shouted immediately, "Choji, the clone of the target appears." Choji immediately stopped rolling and flew into the sky with a single jump. How could such a big target be missed? Kakuzu looked at Choji, who was inescapable in the air, as if looking at a dead person. Lightning-style false darkness. The thunder attribute masked monster immediately opened its mouth and spit out extremely fast lightning. But at this moment, Choji directly cancelled the expansion jutsu, narrowly avoiding Kakuzu's attack. There is another trick. Wind-style harm. Swish. A dark shadow blade pierced through the wind attribute masked monster. Kakuzu frowned slightly. This blow actually directly destroyed one of his masks. "You are facing 2 opponents," Shikamaru said with a smile. Then he pointed to the sky. Kakuzu looked up immediately, and what he saw was indeed a fist the size of a sandbag. Part of expansion jutsu. Shouting, Choji punched Kakuzu hard into the ground. Shikamaru is at the critical moment of the hit, except for the shadow imitation technique. Boom. There was a loud bang. Choji landed next to Shikamaru, looking grave. "Solve it." "Should not." Shikamaru shook his head and said. "The enemy is also an old monster that has lived for decades. If we solve it so easily, it will be too embarrassing." Earth-style earth spear. Kakuzu stood in the hole that Choji punched out. His whole body skin was black. This layer of black faded slowly, and he was not injured at all. "The defense is so strong," Choji exclaimed. Shikamaru didn't care. If the enemy is defeated like this, it is not worth Naruto's exhortation. However, it is not without gains. Look, one of the masks is broken. Shikamaru pointed to a shattered mask beside Kakuzu and smiled. Choji looked at it and breathed a sigh of relief. That is not bad. Kakuzu looked at the shattered mask all day and felt a headache. The wind attribute and water attribute masks are gone, only the thunder attribute and fire attribute are left. Although the attack power is still strong, it seems to be difficult to deal with the 2 little devils in front of him. That's the only way to go. Earth Grievance final shooting. 2 masked monsters are attached to Kakuzu's right arm, and chakra in his body is activated along with him. The earth, thunder and fire chakra are entangled together. Whoosh. Kakuzu's attack speed is extremely fast. He was in front of Shikamaru and Choji almost instantly. But Choji and Shikamaru were also fast. Narrowly avoided Kakuzu's attack with the body flicker technique. "Now!" Shikamaru shouted after dodging. Choji rushed over without saying a word. "What?" Kakuzu was cooling down at this time. He didn't expect his fast blow to be dodged. He only had time to turn his head when he fell into a momentary freeze. He saw a familiar spherical attack land on his face. He remembered this trick. It is Rasengan that Uzumaki Naruto will meet. But why did this little fat man do it? Kakuzu couldn't figure it out. Rasengan's powerful force directly sent the knocker flying. On the route of the knock-up, Shikamaru was well prepared. Secret art shadow seam. 2 shadows directly penetrated the 2 masks. However, even with such a severe injury, Kakuzu is still awake. Earth-style rock shinobi technique. Kakuzu burrowed straight into the ground and disappeared. Too bad, let him escape. Shikamaru scratched his head, but Yuyu's face was full of indifference. Anyway, 4 of his hearts have been destroyed, so there is no need to worry about him in a short time. Damn it. Stop and fight me, Hidan yelled angrily. But Kiba and Akamaru just circled around him. Not to mention the extremely fast speed, the responsiveness is also extremely strong. Hidan shot a few times, but when he was about to touch it, he dodged inexplicably. On the contrary, it was Hidan who suffered numerous wounds one after another because several attacks missed his loopholes. But Hidan didn't care. Relying on his own immortality, he didn't care how many injuries he suffered. But he didn't seem to notice one thing. This guy is stupid. Ya hid in the direction behind Hidan, with a helpless face. I thought I found a stubble, but it turned out to be a brain damage. This too was a failure. I heard Naruto say that this guy is immortal, and he also said that he must not let the other party take his own writing. After the actual battle, it turned out to be a funny comparison. Up to now, he doesn't even know that it is Shadow Clone who revolves around him. Ya felt that he was really at a loss this time. Forget it, Akamaru, just drop him. Wong. Akamaru responded crisply. A sudden dog barking caught Hidan's attention. He turned his head abruptly, but just then, Kiba and Akamaru's avatar, who were revolving around Hidan, suddenly stepped forward and locked Hidan's body with their own bodies. What are you doing? Hidan struggled hard, but found that the opposite force was really not small. Ya directly lay on the ground, followed by the most skilled cooperation. Orc clone. Teeth through the teeth. Akamaru slammed into the shape of a tooth, and then the two people spun at high speed and rushed towards the missile. Hidan, who was restrained, could only watch helplessly as the attack fell on him. Tear. The sharp attack directly tore Hidan's body. But even so, Hidan is still not dead. Damn it. How dare you tear up my uncle's body? When I recover, I will kill your dog right away. With only one head left, Hidan yelled. Then he saw Akamaru, who had returned to his beast body, trotting towards him. Raised the hind legs. Hey, you blind dog. What do you want to do? Get out. Get out. Bah. I'm going to kill you. Akamaru solved the physical problem comfortably, and happily returned to his partner. Good job. Kiba and Akamaru clapped together. The black stick in Pain's hand penetrated Naruto's body. But Pain frowned slightly. It didn't feel right in his hands. The next moment, Naruto's body turned into white smoke with a bang. This is clearly a shadow clone. And Naruto's main body is standing aside, looking at the battlefield in the distance with his arms crossed. It seems that I have an absolute advantage here. There is not enough manpower, just look for it. As long as I get rid of you here, no one can stop me. Pain said indifferently, squatted down suddenly, and pressed his palms down in the air. Summoning technique. Boom. 5 figures appeared beside Pain. They didn't have Pain's flying ability, and they fell towards the ground immediately. These 5 figures are exactly 5 of Pain's 6 paths. Hell, human, Shura, hungry Keto, animal. Coupled with the way of heaven in the sky, people jointly deal with Naruto, an opponent of the people. 6-1? Naruto smiled, not paying much attention. Tiondo Pain didn't feel ashamed to bully the few, but said indifferently. As long as I can complete my plan, no matter how despicable means I use, I will not hesitate. Universal pull. Pain stretched out his hand suddenly, and a strong suction force from Hua Ling San immediately sucked Naruto from a distance. Even Naruto, under the power of Rinnegan, can only fly over passively. A black rod that can isolate chakra also appeared in Pain's hand. Even if it is Naruto, it will not be easy to be stabbed by this thing. But, how could Naruto be hit so easily? Massive Rasengan. Naruto's right hand instantly appeared a huge Rasengan in front of him. If Pain insists on continuing, he will be hit by Rasengan first before stabbing Naruto's body with the black stick. Naruto's Rasengan is not an easy pick. God Luo Tien sign. Pain could only give up and force Naruto out. It's really difficult. Pain frowned slightly. You are really strange, you look like a rare beast. Dried persimmon ghost shark looked at Xiao Li's pothead and couldn't help complaining. Xiao Li frowned. You are more like a rare beast. Just like a shark. Dried persimmon ghost shark's face suddenly pulled down. He is very satisfied with his appearance. To be called a rare beast by the rare beast in his own eyes? Dried persimmon and ghost shark can't bear it. Samahata, eat his chakra clean. Tear. The bandage wrapped around the shark's muscle collapsed in an instant, revealing Samahata's strange knife full of spikes. Among the oddly shaped mist shinobi, Samahata is also the oddest looking. Because Samahata is not strictly a knife, but a living weapon. Xiao Li frowned slightly. The attack range of this large weapon is very wide, and looking at the spikes, if you accidentally get hit, you will definitely be unable to eat it and walk around. However, 4 Seasons is extremely confident in his own speed. It is impossible for such a bulky weapon to catch up with his speed. Whoosh. With a flash of Xiao Li's figure, he came behind Sharkskin in an instant, kicking the unsuspecting dried persimmon ghost shark into the air. Then followed by another flash, catching up with the dried persimmon ghost flying upside down. Another kick. Bang. 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 The dried persimmon ghost shark, who couldn't keep up with the speed at this moment, seemed to be a football under Xiao Li's feet. He could only be kicked, and he couldn't even dodge. Damn. Is it the speed type? Hoshigaki Kisame frowned. The pain from his body made him more angry. But now the opponent doesn't even let him land, let alone counterattack. No. Can't go on like this. Shark muscle. The anxiety in the dried persimmon ghost's hand suddenly spiked sharply. Xiao Li almost didn't stop and bumped into it together. Fortunately, he stopped in time, otherwise he would become an unlucky ninja who died tragically on the enemy's weapon because of his too fast speed. The attack was interrupted, and Hoshigaki Kisame fell heavily to the ground. But he got up quickly, put his anxiety on the ground, and quickly formed seals with his hands. Water-style big blast water hit slopes. A large amount of water spewed out from the mouth of the dried persimmon ghost, and instantly bound the dried persimmon ghost and Xiao Li to his minister. Well, Xiao Li stared, and immediately accelerated to escape from it. But the current greatly slowed his speed. Hey, can't you run fast now? Dried persimmon Kisame giggled, but he couldn't breathe freely even in the water at this moment. But he has other options. Holding the handle of the shark muscle, one person, one sword, merges two into one. This is also Samahada's ability to fuse with his master to form a half-human half-fish form. With this mentality, not only the speed in the water is faster, but also the ability to breathe in the water. Seeing the other party turned into a woman, Xiao Li became even more anxious. The situation is reversed in an instant. Whoosh. Dried persimmon ghost shark made a white mark in the water, passing by Xiao Li's side. Well. Xiao Li closed his eyes in pain, and the bright red blood immediately floated in the water. Now it's me who is fast. Dried persimmon Kisame smiled cruelly. What you did to me just now, I will repay twice as much. Immediately, he drew a white mark and rushed over quickly. Seeing that Xiao Li was about to get hurt again. At the critical moment, Uzumaki appeared in Xiao Li's hands. An ordinary Rasengan suddenly appeared in his hands. Although Xiao Li's ninjutsu talent is very poor, but during the period of training with Naruto, at least he has learned the common level Rasengan. This is. Gonshi Gixi sensed that something was wrong, but the distance between him and Xiao Li was too close, and it was too late to turn the corner. Boom. There was a dull sound. Hoshigaki Kisame spun and flew out at a faster speed, and Xiao Li took this opportunity to quickly rush out of the range of water-style ninjutsu. Puff. Finally breathing fresh air, Xiao Li seemed to be born again. But before he took two more puffs, Hoshigaki Kisame caught up with him at a very fast speed. Boom. Xiao Li was slammed into the air, and a huge gash was torn open in his waist. Ah! Xiao Li let out a scream, which immediately attracted the attention of the nearby. Xiao Li. Neji noticed the situation on Xiao Li's side and rushed over immediately. Ju also took advantage of this opportunity to wait for the opportunity directly. Whoosh. Neji caught Xiao Li, who was about to fall, put him on the ground and said, "Leave it to me here, you have a good rest first." Xiao Li's face was full of dissatisfaction. I was careless. Obviously everyone else was fighting, but he turned out to be the first one to lose. This immediately filled him with self-blame. Neji just stared at the huge drop of water ahead. You just didn't pick your opponent well. Relax, and don't think about it. In fact, Kisame was not a good opponent for Neji either. This water drop occupies a very large area, which severely limits Neji's performance. After all, Gentle Fist requires hand-to-hand combat with each other. But in this situation, Neji doubts whether the opponent will choose to fight with him. It's really intense, but no one came to me. Am I underestimated? Orochimaru watched the battles everywhere, with an inexplicable smile on his face. Behind him, a coffin had appeared at some point. Ju emerged from the ground. Black Zetsu's hoarse voice reached Orochimaru's ears. Shall we show these trump cards now? If it is discovered that it was destroyed in advance. This was the only last move in Black Zetsu's heart that could accurately defeat Naruto. If something goes wrong with Orochimaru, he will never spare Orochimaru. Don't worry, they won't find us. Orochimaru licked his lips, his face full of excitement. It's not the best stage to come on. Hold on. Black Zetsu was noncommittal, and the two watched the battle together. Hoshigaki Kisame was moving rapidly inside the huge water droplet. Under his control, The huge drop of water headed towards Neji's direction. Neji didn't dodge, because behind him lay Xiao Li, who couldn't move. And evasion is not the way to defeat your opponent. That's Konoha's Hyuga clan, dare to fight me in the water? Hoshigaki Kisame felt underestimated. Then show you the horrors of fighting in the water. Water-style Darkhammer technique. The giant shark water bomb rushed towards Neji. Fire-style Great Fireball technique. Neji did not panic and did not rush to seal, and then a great fireball directly swallowed the shark water bomb. At this time, the giant water drop also wrapped Neji inside. Whoosh. Dried persimmon Kisame rushed over immediately, opened his bloody mouth as if to bite Neji into 2 pieces. However, the moment he approached, a very violent chakra impact suddenly appeared on Neji's body. Gentle Fist one hit. The defensive technique in Gentle Fist blocks the enemy's melee attacks by releasing chakra from the acupuncture points of the body. The sudden attack interrupted Hoshigaki Kisame's attack. Taking advantage of this moment, Neji opened his hands in a very familiar pose. Gentle Fist 128 palms. Because the speed is halved in the water, Neji can't use his full strength. But the 128 palms fell on Hoshigaki Kisame, which still caused him endless pain. Even his eyes rolled over, and he might fall into a coma at any time. Boom. Accompanied by the last palm, Hoshigaki Kisame was severely hit and flew out of the huge water drop. The moment they escaped from the water drop, Kisame and Samahata were also separated. Hateful. Dried persimmon Kisame was full of unwillingness, but the acupoints all over his body were violently destroyed, and he couldn't even use ninjutsu in a short time. Sharkus fell nearby, and a tentacle-like object protruded from the hilt and dug into Hoshigaki Kisame's wrist. It wants to lose the chakra in its body to Hoshigaki Kisame and restore his mobility. But there is not a lot of chakra in dried persimmon ghost shark's body. The problem is that his chakra acupuncture points are blocked. It's as if the 2 ends of the tunnel through the mountain are blocked, and the chakra of Kisame is like a car stuck in the tunnel, and you can't get out at all. It is doomed that everything the shark muscle does is useless. You lose. Neji walked in, wet all over. He looked down at Hoshigaki Kisame, who was lying on the ground unable to move. His eyes were extremely cold. I advise you to stay still, or I will kill you. Kisame is not afraid of death, but now it is difficult for him to even move, let alone resist. In this battle, Kisame defeated the careless Xiao Li, but was defeated by Neji because of his carelessness. Long time no see, Sasuke. Itachi looked at Sasuke indifferently, hiding an imperceptible tenderness. But unfortunately, Sasuke only hates Itachi. Without further ado. You will die here, killed by my own hands. Sasuke said coldly, the killing intent in his eyes piercing. Let you take a good look at the gap between us. Itachi's eyes instantly changed to Mangekyo. Amaterasu. Sasuke immediately responded. Amaterasu. Black's flame appeared out of nowhere, and then burned in the air. Blood flowed from the eye sockets of the 2 brothers. This is the price of using Amaterasu, flame control. Sasuke took the lead in changing his moves, controlling Heian to change his shape. The black flame immediately turned into an arrow that broke through Itachi's black flame, and appeared in front of Itachi in an instant. However, this arrow directly passed through Itachi's body, as if Itachi existed in that place. Illusion. Sasuke was immediately alert, and chakra surged in his body. Untie. However, the scene did not change in any way. Instead, Itachi's figure suddenly changed more and more. This is not multiple shadow clone. These are all illusions. In the blink of an eye, Sasuke found himself tied to a wooden frame. Itachi stood in front of Sasuke, neither sad nor happy. The gap between you and me is just so huge. You're not strong enough, Sasuke. The indifferent words immediately angered Sasuke. Do you think you've won? This is just the beginning. Purple's skeleton immediately wrapped Sasuke's body and blocked Itachi's attack. Then the surrounding scenery suddenly changed, and Sasuke had gotten rid of the control of the illusion. And Sasuke has used the full body of Susanoo. On the opposite side, Itachi also showed off his red Susanoo. The same is perfect. The 2 huge guys immediately attracted most people's attention. I didn't expect Sasuke's big brother to use this trick. Is Sasuke okay? Shikamaru stroked his chin, uncertain. After all, he has seen how strong the full-body Susanoo is. With these 2 monsters fighting, shouldn't he let a place out? However, he looked back at, and found that the others had already retreated far away. Obviously, they were also afraid that the attacks of the two would affect them. Whoosh. Boom! Sasuke took the lead in attacking, and the Chidori lightning sword slashed horizontally, and with unmatched momentum, it blasted on Itachi's Susanoo, and easily destroyed a mountain. A large amount of smoke filled the air as the mountain collapsed and fell. But it dissipated quickly. A shield appeared on Itachi's Susanoo, which is obviously not something a ninja with a hidden weapon can handle. But that's okay. Sasuke doesn't need that kind of thing. The battle between Susanoo is so open and close that the delicate things are simply not used. It is too small. Even if it is Tianshan's hidden explosive weapon, I dare not say that it can blow up a small corner. Susanoo's impression is too shocking. Wherever the two titans stand, the battlefield must be far away from these two guys with outstanding combat power. This level of attack has no effect on me, Itachi said lightly, as if he meant to win again. This tone immediately made Sasuke grit his teeth angrily. But in a short time, he really couldn't deal with Itachi's Susanoo. Boom! Sasuke slashed his sword unbelievingly again, but was still easily blocked by the shield. Here. The battle was at a stalemate. The situation is temporarily deadlocked. But only temporarily. Sasuke still has a lot of moves that he hasn't used. Amaterasu. Flame control. The abilities of both eyes are activated at the same time. Black's flames are attached to Susanoo's lightning sword. This time, the power of the black flame lightning sword is no longer the same as before. Itachi also knew that he could never block this move. But in his current state, he couldn't avoid this blow at all. Amaterasu. Itachi can only forcibly use black flame against Sasuke's attack. But the combined attack of black flame and flame control is obviously much stronger than Itachi's black flame alone. Swish. With a single sword cut, Itachi's black flames were not able to block it at all, and the arm holding the shield was cut off directly, and then dissipated. Is that all you have? Sasuke slashed with another sword, cutting off Itachi Susanoo's other arm. Susanoo held a gourd in her palm. This is a Kusanagi sword. The picture shows the dry sword. The flames ejected from the gourd can be turned into a flaming sword that seals the enemy forever in the illusion world. But how could Itachi use this weapon against Sasuke? Sasuke sees Itachi as a traitor to his family. But in Itachi's eyes, Sasuke is more important than all of them. So, even if Itachi had a chance to fight back before, he did not make any resistance. Just let Sasuke cut off Susanoo's two arms with two swords. Now, with only two legs left, Susanoo has no ability to fight Sasuke head-on. Itachi's condition is getting worse and worse. Sasuke is the perfect Susanoo summoned by his own power. But Itachi is not. Itachi doesn't have such powerful pupil power as Sasuke. He summoned the full-body Susanoo to overdraw his own power, and now it is very difficult to maintain it. This is what happens to a traitor. Sasuke roared, and cut down with another sword. This time, just behead Itachi's Susanoo. The huge head flew up and dissipated in the air. The severely overdrawn Itachi fell weakly from the air, and fell to the ground with a bang. See. Sasuke also released Susanoo and came to Itachi. He looked down at Itachi with blurred eyes, and said very coldly. Do you have anything else to say? Itachi looked at the blue sky, his lips trembled, and he said slowly. Take. My eyes. Sasuke narrowed his eyes and said. Of course I will take it, it is my spoils. Hearing Sasuke's words, Itachi gave a relieved smile. That's it. That's it. That's. Well. Itachi slowly closed his eyes, no longer holding on to that breath. Although there are still regrets, but at this moment, Itachi was relieved. At least, he can give Sasuke his eyes and let Sasuke go to the next level. Sasuke felt something was wrong. But he didn't think deeply, just snorted coldly, and stepped forward to take Itachi's eyes away. Do you want to just take his eyes away? Naruto's voice came to mind suddenly, startling Sasuke. Sasuke turned his head and saw Naruto, who appeared at some unknown time. How will you be here? Naruto stepped forward, took out 2 containers with special liquid and squatted down. Naturally, it is to help you transplant these eyes. Don't worry, with my medical technology, it only takes a while, and you won't even feel pain. For Naruto's medical technology, Sasuke is naturally recognized. And seeing that Naruto was holding that kind of professional container that was used to hold organs, he knew that his actions just now were a bit reckless. What if one of the eyes is not pinched properly when taking out the eye, and the eye is pinched by him? What should I do? Even if he has excellent control over power, He doesn't need to worry about damaging his eyes at all, but what about external pollution? These eyes are going to be transplanted to him. What should I do if they get infected and cause other problems? Luckily Naruto is here. Although Sasuke didn't want to admit it, he felt lucky at the moment. Okay, let's get started. Taking out Itachi's eyes, Naruto stood up and said to Sasuke. Sasuke looked deeply into those eyes. Let's start. The battlefield of Naruto and Pain. The two have fallen back to the ground. Naruto confronts Pain 6 paths on the opposite side. At this time, he received a message from the clone. Has Sasuke already started the transplant operation? Then I have to speed up here. Naruto looked at Pain, or looked into Pain's eyes. Rinnegan, a very convenient pair of eyes indeed. The power is also very overbearing. As he spoke, Naruto's eyes suddenly turned red. Awesome Sharingan. There are 3 tomo on it. I don't know when Naruto has opened the Sharingan of a hooked jade. Pain saw the change in Naruto's eyes, but he didn't care. It's just a trifling jade. Even Mangekyo is meaningless in front of his pair of Rinnegans. According to information, you are not from the Uchiha clan, but you have the Sharingan. It seems that this information is correct. However, if there are only 3 hooks of jade, it will have no effect in this battle. Naruto smiled faintly. Yeah. Do you think, after I know the power of Mangekyo Sharingan, I will easily give up this power? The 3 tomo Sharingan gradually changes into a unique shape. It looks like an inverse triangle inside a regular triangle. Mangekyo. Pain frowned slightly. Although he is not afraid of Mangekyo, it is obviously not a good choice to attack rashly before figuring out Naruto's Mangekyo ability. But that's not all. Sharingan evolved to ultimate as Rinnegan. Naruto knows exactly how powerful Rinnegan is. How could he let go of this power? However, to evolve from Sharingan to Rinnegan requires Ashura and Indra's chakra. Naruto knew that Ashura's chakra was in his body and Indra's chakra was in Sasuke's body. It was a breeze for Naruto to unknowingly obtain Indra's chakra from Sasuke's body. So, long before, he had completed the evolution of Sharingan. That's why Naruto thinks the time is ripe to conquer the ninja world. Pain watched in shock as Naruto's eyes gradually changed into the same shape as his own. Rinnegan. How can it be? Hiding behind the scenes, Nagato couldn't believe what he saw through Pain's sight. Obviously Rinnegan is his power. Why does Naruto also have it? And he watched Naruto's eyes gradually change from Sharingan to Rinnegan. What on earth is it? If that's how Rinnegan got it, what's with his eyes? Countless doubts appeared in Pain's mind, but at the moment, he couldn't give him an answer. Moreover, there is not so much time left for him to think. Because Naruto has already started to act, Naruto put his hands together. Snap. Just like Senju Hashirama, you can get what you want with a clap of your hands. Wood-style wood clone technique. 5 wood clone emerged from Naruto's body and stood beside him. 6 versus 6, it should be fair, Naruto said with a smile. Pain came back to his senses and snorted coldly. You are just a clone, I am Pain 6 paths, I will not disappear because of being attacked. Naruto didn't care either, shrugged and said. Perhaps your Pain 6 paths does have an advantage here. But can you beat us? Pain's face suddenly sank. He thought of Naruto's unbelievable speed. If only relying on Pain's other 5-6 paths, maybe he couldn't even catch up with Naruto. However, the battlefield is changing rapidly. Even if Naruto's speed is very fast, there are still many ways to limit Naruto's actions. Animal Dao took the lead and directly summoned the huge summoning beast. Split Dog, Hell Crab, Chameleon, Yata Bird, Pitbull. There are 5 summoning beasts in total, and they are all very huge in size. Although they are not as big as the tailed beasts, they are not much worse. Pain 6 paths looked extremely small under the feet of these summoning beasts. Start with the summoning beast? Naruto smiled and said. Number 4, come on. The wood clone, known as the slightest, stepped forward and also used the summoning technique. In an instant, Yinwang's white smoke enveloped their surroundings. When the wind blows away the white smoke, a large group of summoning beasts suddenly appeared beside Naruto. Whether it is quantity or volume, they are completely better than Pain's Beast Road. But the animal is not panic, he said lightly. Number is meaningless, only the powerful performance that matches it is the most suitable summoning beast. Yeah? Naruto smiled and didn't say much. Everything will be revealed in actual combat. There was no need to issue an order, and the summoning beasts on both sides rushed up immediately. For a moment, the giant beasts melee. the dust on the ground was immediately lifted into the air. Blot out the sun because of the problem of size and quantity. The summoning beast on Naruto's side immediately suppressed the summoning beast on Pain's side. But the summoning beast of the animal way also quickly counterattacked. The split dog was seriously injured, but immediately split more heads, and the injury recovered. The enhanced split dog immediately turned back and successfully tore a summoning beast on Naruto's side in half. The summoning beast that was torn apart did not die, but directly turned into two summoning beasts. Compared to the split dog that split its head due to injury, Naruto's split is more thorough, and it is directly divided into two wholes. And not just this one, all the summoning beasts on Naruto can split, and there is no limit to the number. Seeing this scene, Animal Dao's expression suddenly changed. The only thing he can split is the split dog. Hellcrab used the powerful water style to hit a lot of summoning beasts hard, but it helped the summoning beasts on Naruto's side to complete a higher number of splits. The number that originally occupied an absolute advantage is now overwhelmingly crushed. Soon, under the siege of the army of beasts, only one split dog was left on Guangshengdao's side struggling to support it. Seeing that the animal way was useless, the others rushed up immediately, intending to get rid of the Naruto wood clone that summoned the summoning beast. Strange wrist rocket. Shira Dao's left fist split open suddenly, and with a bang, he rushed over extremely fast. Number 1. Naruto put his hands on his shoulders and said calmly. Immediately, the number 1 clone stepped forward and punched Shira Dao's left back. On the way Shira Dao rushed over, he took his arm, clicked it and pressed it back again. Then the head split open, revealing a mechanical muzzle. Head laser cannon. The number 1 clone rushed over again, rushed in front of the opponent in an instant, and smashed Shira Dao's head to pieces with a punch. Pen 6 paths scrapped 2 at once. Number 2. Number 3, 5th floor. Naruto continued to report the number. The remaining 3 avatars stepped forward and faced Hungry Kido, Human Realm and Hell Realm respectively. As soon as he came into contact with it, the human way was directly destroyed. Hungry Kido took advantage of the moment of contact and immediately activated Rinnegan's ability to absorb the opponent's chakra. When the absorption capacity of the 3rd clone was stronger, the Hungry Kido was directly sucked clean. The last Hell Road summoned Hades, and wanted to use Hades to resurrect the other Pain 6 paths. But number 5 stepped forward directly, and a super large Rasengan directly wiped out the Hell Road. Hades also disappeared. So far, in a short period of time, in Pain's 6 paths, except for the Heavenly Dao and the Animal Dao, all advanced battles were defeated. The Animal Way is also difficult to support alone. Pain's face was extremely ugly. This was Nagato's worst loss since forming Pen 6 paths. As soon as he touched it, he was directly wiped out, and he had no resistance at all. It can only be said that Naruto's clone is much stronger than his Pain 6 paths. Naruto clasped his hands together and directly cancelled Wood Clone. Following his movements, the avatars turned into tree trunks one after another. However, the summoning beast still exists. After all, the one summoned by the big clone is not much different from the one he summoned. Okay, let's forget about this kind of petty trouble. Let's start the real fight. Naruto rose slowly into the air. Pain snorted coldly, and then reabsorbed the power dispersed in Pain's 6 paths into his body. Only in this way, Pain felt that he had the power to defeat Naruto. Beast Dao, who had lost his strength, immediately fell to the ground, and the split dog also disappeared into white smoke with a bang. Seeing this, Naruto also released the summoning beasts, letting them return to their original place. The original chaotic scene of giant beast melee disappeared in an instant, and fell into a strange silence. In addition to the flying dust, it proved that those giant beasts just now were not hallucinations. Your strength is indeed very strong, relying on your avatar to defeat the other 5 paths of Pain's 6 paths. But you can't be my opponent against me who is doing my best. Tiondo has extremely strong self-confidence. Because he has never lost. But today, Naruto appeared in front of him just to give him a miserable defeat. This kind of thing can only be known after fighting. There's no point in talking so much nonsense. Pain's face darkened completely. Then he reached out suddenly. Universal pull. But at this instant, Naruto also reached out his hand. Universal pull. The two rushed toward each other involuntarily at the same time. But Pain could clearly feel that he was flying faster. How can it be? Pain's eyes widened instantly, and a trace of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Under the powerful suction of universal pull, Naruto and Pain quickly thought about getting closer to each other. It's like a couple going both ways, but unfortunately, there is no warmth between lovers in the eyes of the two of them. Some just want to defeat the strong feelings of the other party. At the moment when the two sides approached rapidly, the two of them clasped their hands together again. God Luo Tien sign. God Luo Tien sign. The strong repulsive force immediately caused the two to fly upside down again. This time, Pain found that he still flew faster. What is this? Obviously I have mastered Rinnegan longer. Why is his Rinnegan more powerful than mine? Could it be that my Rinnegan is not as good as him? Pain was mired in deep self-doubt, but doubt is doubt. The battle still has to go on. Pain's flying figure stopped and looked up. What about people? Something bad flashed through my heart for an instant. But as soon as the idea appeared, a huge force from behind directly knocked him out. Puff while flying out, Pain spat out a mouthful of blood. Pain looked back with difficulty, but still did not see Naruto. At this time, Naruto has appeared right in front of him flying out. Boom. It was another unpretentious punch, which once again sent Pain flying like a ball. In just a few seconds, Lang punched Pain dozens of times with unparalleled speed. But Pain is also sufficiently resistant to beatings, or Pain's 6 paths made of corpses. Unless they are completely destroyed, there is no need to worry about physical damage at all. Because the person actually in control is Nagato hiding in the dark. God Luo Tien sign. After a few seconds, finally waiting for the cooldown of the divine Luo Tien sign, Pain immediately stretched his hands apart, trying to bounce Naruto out. But Uzumaki Naruto, who also has Rinnegan at this moment, naturally knows the cooling time of the God Luo Tien sign. So he didn't get on at all. Then, standing in the air with a bruised nose and a swollen face, Pain propped up his hands, and Luo Tianjin didn't touch anything. Looking at Naruto, who was so relaxed in the distance, Pain felt like a clown. What a powerful God Luo Tien sign. Naruto smiled and said. It's a pity that your divine Luo Tien sign has cooled down. Pain's pupils suddenly constricted, but don't wait for him to make any moves. Naruto's figure disappeared again. This time, Naruto appeared above Pain in a fair manner. Super Divine Luo Tien sign. Kwangmeng's incomparable thrust instantly pushed Pain down. This is a powerful move that Pain will use to destroy Konoha in the future, but it was first used by Naruto. Pain has no resistance at all and can only be pushed down. Soon, it was pushed to the ground. But it's not over yet, Wily is still going on. Pain couldn't resist sinking deeper and deeper into the ground. The originally flat ground was completely sunken, forming a huge pothole. It was as if a meteorite fell down. Finally, Naruto's super god Luo Tien stopped after knowing that there was a Tianking with a diameter of several kilometers and a depth of hundreds of meters on the ground. But that's not all. Tengai Shinsei. Naruto's attack is not over yet. As he stimulated the chakra in his body, a huge meteorite suddenly appeared in the sky. The diameter of this meteorite exceeds the diameter of Sasuke's previous fight against Onoki. The huge meteorite fell towards Pain in the crater with great power. Super Divine Luo Tien sign. Pain rushed out suddenly, and also used the extremely wide-ranging Divine Luo Tien sign. The falling meteorite immediately began to crumble from the bottom and was pushed away. In the end, the meteorite shattered into countless fragments and fell to the ground like a meteor. It seems that the area of destruction is wider, but in fact it has lost the power to threaten Naruto or Pain. Who? Pain panted heavily, his eyes fixed on the top. He tried his best to destroy the meteorite summoned by Naruto. But the point is, Tengai Shinsei will summon 2 meteorites. And the diameter of the second meteorite is stronger than the first one. But now Pain, who used the Super Divine Luo Tien sign, not only couldn't use the Divine Luo Tien sign continuously, but his physical strength declined rapidly. He could only watch helplessly as the meteorite fell, smashing himself into the ground again. Far away, the little friends who ended their own battles gathered together. Looking at the battle here from afar, compared to the shocking battle between Naruto and Sasuke during the Chunin exam, the momentum of this battle is no less than the previous one. They didn't even dare to take a step closer. The battle between the 2 Rinnegans was just too shocking. They simply don't have the ability to make it through. I'm afraid they'll disappear if you wipe the edges a little. This level of battle is simply not something they can participate in. Terrible. On the other side, after the Sharingan's transplant operation, Sasuke stabilized completely after a short period of adaptation. He can feel that his eyesight, which has declined slightly, has returned to normal, and his pupil power has been greatly enhanced. Using the full-body Susanoo is no longer an excessive burden for him. However, looking at the falling meteorite in the sky, Sasuke still frowned tightly. He only used this move once, but Naruto has already been able to use it, and the power and momentum are much stronger than his time. This could not help burning his fighting spirit violently. Naruto, you really are the biggest match in my life. The gap between other people in us is too great. Naruto stood in the air, looking down at the huge meteorite. Is it really tough enough that even an attack of this level can't destroy you? With observation Haki's perception, Naruto didn't need to look to know that Pain under the meteorite was not completely destroyed. Although Pain is still very miserable at this time, he still has the power to fight. Boom. A pitch-black ball suddenly pierced through the meteorite and appeared in the sky quickly. After reaching a certain height, the black ball stopped and showed extremely powerful suction. Planetary devastation. The trees on the ground rose up one after another, and the stones were directly lifted and flew towards the sky. Meteorites were also breaking apart piece by piece, flying towards the black ball. But Naruto's body remained motionless in the air. And between his hands, a black ball also appeared. Planetary devastation. Naruto threw the black ball casually, and it sat next to another black ball. Immediately, two powerful sources of suction appeared in the sky. But the black balls that appear later have significantly stronger suction than the previous ones. Even the previous black ball was faintly approaching the black ball thrown by Naruto. On the ground, Pain, who looked up at the sky, floated up with both feet, and unexpectedly flew towards the black ball uncontrollably. This is impossible. Pain's eyes widened, his face full of shock. The planetary devastation he made is no match for Naruto's planetary devastation. And Naruto in the air was not sucked away, but himself on the ground was sucked into the Lord of the Sky. At this moment, Pain deeply understood that in terms of Rinnegan's strength, Naruto was much, much stronger than himself. At first, after knowing all kinds of information about Naruto, Pain was still full of confidence because of the power of Rinnegan. But it was finally time to fight, and Naruto actually produced a pair of Rinnegans. And still in front of him, step by step from Sharingan to Rinnegan. The process itself is shocking enough. But what shocked Pain even more is that Naruto, who has just obtained Rinnegan, is more powerful in all aspects than him, who has owned Rinnegan for decades. Obviously he was the first to have the eyes that only Sage of Six Paths in Legendary had. With an unbelievable mood, Pain, whose physical strength was almost exhausted, was sucked over without any resistance, and was then covered by layers of rocks and trees. Completely sealed inside. Pain was dealt with, but the fight wasn't over. After all, Pen Six Paths is just Nagato's puppet. The battle isn't over until Nagato is dealt with. In order to control Pain Six Paths, Nagato must be within a certain range in order to better control it. Naruto, Nagato's location has already been captured. After all, the scope of his current observation Haki has reached an exaggerated level. Whoosh! Naruto's figure flashed, and then appeared directly in a closed cave. Nagato and Konan, who were hiding in the cave, were startled. After Pen was sealed, Nagato knew he was defeated. But I didn't expect that the location of my body had already been exposed. At this moment, Nagato, who relied on the Geto statue to survive, knew that he had no escape route. Flee, Konan. Nagato said softly, the last madness flickering in his eyes. He opened his hands and yin-yang chakra emerged from both palms. Etc. Konan was startled, he didn't expect Nagato to make a decision so quickly. After the previous confrontation, Konan was targeted by Sakura Inoue Jr. But Konan had no intention of fighting at all, and escaped with a paper clone at the very beginning, and went straight back to Nagato to guard her last friend. At this moment, Konan had no idea of retreating at all. But I didn't expect Nagato's approach to be so crazy. Use the planetary devastation in this small place, and all three people present can't escape. I have no will to fight. Naruto stepped forward in an instant and grabbed Nagato's double. At this distance, Naruto is strong enough to stop any move of Nagato. There is no reason to continue fighting between us. The madness in Nagato's eyes faded slightly. He didn't think much at this moment, more was to let his last friend escape here, even if he would sacrifice himself for it. But at this moment, after seeing Naruto's speed, Nagato knew that he had no need to resist. In the time he condensed the planetary devastation, enough time for Naruto to kill him hundreds of times. Now can we have a good chat? Naruto let go, and took 2 steps back. Nagato also dropped chakra's output, placing his hands at his sides. Konan hugged him tightly, his eyes tense. What do you want to talk about? Nagato asked in a hoarse voice. About peace. Naruto said lightly, and your ridiculous plans. Nagato's brow furrowed instantly. The plan they worked hard for more than 10 years was defined by Naruto as ridiculous, which immediately made him dissatisfied. But Nagato also knew that it was useless for him to lose his temper at the moment. Ridiculous plan? Our plan is the one that works. Nagato said coldly. Naruto said lightly. BG at ++, you mean Project Tsuki no Mi? The pupils of Nagato and Konan constricted suddenly. They didn't say the 3 words, Eye of the Moon. But Naruto named their project so casually. This is enough to show that Naruto knows their plan well. Who is it? Who betrayed them? The first thing the two think of is Deidara, who sneaked away and did not participate in the battle. But it was quickly rejected by them. Because only they, Tsuki and Obito, know about Project Tsuki no Mi. The other members of the Akatsuki organization were just a group of people gathered by the excuse they made for this. Even if Deidara betrays them, it is impossible to tell Naruto the unknown information. Where did you know the name? Nagato's brow furrowed tightly. Naruto said lightly. It doesn't matter where I got it from, but what matters is, do you really understand the so-called Project Tsuki no Mi? Nagato and Konan exchanged glances. From Naruto's tone, they felt that the Eye of Judgment plan might be very different from what they knew. Once, in the days of the Sage of 6 Paths, Project Tsuki no Mi was implemented once. With an understatement, Naruto spoke words that shocked the two of them. How do you know? Konan's question blurted out. Sage of 6 Paths was just a legendary, but she knew it wasn't just a legendary. Because her friend Nagato has Rinnegan belonging to Sage of 6 Paths. Nagato also stared at Naruto closely, waiting for his explanation. Naruto continued. It doesn't matter why I know, what matters is the true purpose of Project Tsuki no Mi. The man who called himself Uchiha Madara must have told you it was for peace. But even he doesn't know the real purpose of Project Tsuki no Mi at all. Nagato and Konan's eyes widened. The shock was beyond words. But Naruto didn't care, but said to himself. Project Tsuki no Mi is indeed an extremely powerful illusion, but its essence is not to eliminate war, but to conquer. You should know about White Zetsu. Nagato and Konan looked at each other, wondering why Naruto suddenly mentioned White Zetsu. Of course they know about White Zetsu. But the key is, what is the relationship between White Zetsu and Project Tsuki no Mi, and why Naruto suddenly mentioned White Zetsu? What do you want to say in the end? Nagato couldn't help but said. Naruto continued to tell the truth about Project Tsuki no Mi with a calm attitude. Those White Zetsu were actually humans who were affected by Project Tsuki no Mi in ancient times. The power of the Eye of the Moon turned the humans of ancient times into White Zetsu, and became someone's army. This is the Project Tsuki no Mi you guys are going to carry out. Nagato met Konan's eyes in shock. Then Nagato looked at Naruto carefully. Why on earth do you know so much? Facing Nagato's doubts, Naruto showed a mysterious smile. Why do you think I have such incredible strength at this age? Can you even have the Sharingan that only the Uchiha clan has? Nagato's eyes widened. Are you the Sage of 6 Paths? Are you the reincarnation of Sage of 6 Paths? That's why I know how to awaken Rinnegan. Nagato was very excited, for his own guess, but also for his imagined identity of Naruto. Naruto smiled without saying a word. He neither admits nor denies. Even if Sage of 6 Paths really jumped out to expose him at that time, he was not afraid. After all, it wasn't him who said it, it was Nagato who said it. He just said some words. As for what Nagato imagined based on these words, it has nothing to do with him. You don't need to say anything superfluous, as long as you know it yourself. Naruto folded his hands on his chest, put on a superior posture, and said lightly. My purpose is the same as yours, to eliminate war from this world. And my idea is to integrate all the countries into one, so that maybe we can't completely avoid fighting, but we can control and prevent war from happening. At least, as long as I live, I won't let war happen again. As for what happens after I die, it's out of my control. Nagato frowned. His idea was to completely eliminate the war. Originally planned to rely on the illusion of the Eye of the Moon to achieve this goal. But now that Naruto has debunked the essence of Project Tsuki no Mi, it is naturally impossible for him to continue to follow the plan. But in this way, his long-term efforts will lose their meaning. This means that the land without war that he and his companions pursued has disappeared. I can help you if you need it, Nagato said solemnly. Although I am not as powerful as you, I can defend one side for you. Conan also said immediately. I can help too, if there is anything that needs me to do, I can do it. Naruto nodded and said, it just so happens that I need your help with something right now. Conan said quickly. Just say it, and I'll do my best. Knock him out. Naruto pointed at Nagato and said. Nagato was taken aback. Conan's eyes suddenly changed, full of hostility. What are you saying? Naruto ignored Conan's eyes, his expression remained flat. If you want to treat, you need anesthesia, but I don't have anesthesia now, so I can only use this primitive method. Conan's body trembled, and he raised his trembling hands to cover his mouth. Can you heal Nagato's injury? Nagato exhaled and said. Don't waste your efforts, my body has reached its limit. If I leave this ghetto statue, I'm afraid I will die immediately. Are you underestimating my medical skills? Naruto frowned slightly and said. I can save even those who just died. Your injury is nothing in my eyes. What else did Nagato want to say? Suddenly the back of my head hurt, and my eyes went dark and I passed out. Naruto's eyelids twitched. This woman is a real tiger. Can the back of the head be hit casually? If you are not careful, you will not be stunned, but killed directly. But it doesn't matter if he is killed, he can be saved. His medical ninjutsu is so overbearing. Please treat him well. Conan bowed deeply, his words full of sincerity. Conan, Nagato and Yahiko, the friendship of the three has been accumulated over time and tempered by war, and no one can break it. The three are partners who grew up with each other, and they are the most important people to each other. It is precisely because of this that when she heard that Naruto could be saved, and she herself was not sure whether Naruto was telling the truth, she did not hesitate at all for this glimmer of hope. Naruto nodded silently and began to prepare for the operation. It looks like it's over. After hiding in the woods and watching all the fighting, Orochimaru said with a soft sigh. At the same time, his eyes were full of sparkle. He didn't expect that Naruto could defeat the enemy with Rinnegan. Can't even Rinnegan push Naruto's limit? At this time, an Uzumaki appeared beside Orochimaru. Then a man with a mask appeared, it was Wong. Looks like Nagato lost. Obito said lightly. His Rinnegan has to be recovered. Black Zetsu said lightly. I'm afraid this matter is not easy, my clone saw Uzumaki Naruto disappear. I'm afraid he has found Nagato's location. Under the mask, the leader frowned tightly. This is troublesome. Without those eyes, it's very difficult to plan. At this time, Orochimaru stood up. Although I don't know who you are, I think I can give you a little help. Obito turned his head and looked at Orochimaru, frowning slightly. Orochimaru's presence here was not part of his plan. He glanced vaguely, knowing that this was his decision. As Uchiha Madara's will to help him, Obito, though somewhat puzzled, would not question Black Zetsu's decision. Because they are in the same boat. I know you, Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, your strength is pretty good, but I'm afraid you won't be able to participate in the next battle. Because I am Uchiha Madara. Orochimaru raised his eyebrows and looked at Obito with strange eyes. Ju also turned his head slightly, not wanting to watch this embarrassing scene. Orochimaru smiled playfully. You sure? Obito frowned slightly, looked at Black Zetsu but found that Black Zetsu turned his eyes away. Did Black Zetsu tell Orochimaru my identity? But this is the top secret, why tell the unplanned people? If you're Uchiha Madara, who's on my side? Orochimaru turned sideways, allowing Obito to see the three coffins standing behind him. At this time, as Orochimaru's voice fell, the coffin boards of the three coffins suddenly fell off, revealing the people inside. This is... Obito's eyes widened for a moment. What did he see? Brothers first Hokage and second Hokage, Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama. Most importantly, Uchiha Madara, the head of the first-generation family after Uchiha was established. At this moment, apart from being shocked, Obito's face was on fire. It's so embarrassing. If there were not only so few people present, he might be completely dead. But he immediately understood why Orochimaru had brought him. Impure world reincarnation. I see. Obito nodded slowly, trying not to look awkward. At this time, Obito was very grateful that he was wearing a mask, otherwise he would really be ashamed to see others. With the first Hokage and second Hokage of Impure World reincarnation, as well as Uchiha Madara, the combat power here suddenly skyrocketed unprecedentedly. Now, Obito has confidence again. With your help, I'm confident against Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto must be eradicated for our purposes. Plan? Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly. Obito's voice froze for a moment. He turned to look at Black Zetsu, eyes full of scrutiny and roar. What the hell did you do? Don't say what should be said, don't say what should not be said. You're just a mute, aren't you? At this moment, Obito was completely desperate. Black Zetsu's manipulation directly made him look like a fool. Have no choice. The mouth is already full. Obito can only bite the bullet and tell Orochimaru about Project Tsuki no Mi. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes and said, abolishing war entirely with a world-covering illusion? It's a grand idea. It's ridiculous. Orochimaru sneered inwardly. As a researcher, he admits that the limit of ninjutsu is that there is no limit. But to rely on an illusion to eliminate all wars, in his opinion, is too whimsical. At this moment, Orochimaru gave Akatsuki a big cross in his heart. The strength of this organization may be very strong. But it's just a bunch of innocent guys with power coming together. Difficult to become a climate. Orochimaru has already made up his mind. After this battle is over, he will stay away from these lunatics immediately. He was afraid that being tainted with stupidity would pollute his precious brain. Obito didn't see Orochimaru's veiled look of disgust. Just repeated his great plan, let him deeply immersed in it. Lin, wait for me. I will definitely create a new world. A world with you by my side. Then, after talking about Project Tsuki no Mi for a long time, Obito finally felt that something was wrong. It's been so long. Why hasn't Uzumaki Naruto appeared yet? The situation is wrong. How come Uzumaki Naruto hasn't appeared yet? Obito turned his head and looked at Black Zetsu. He doesn't know where Nagato is hiding, and only Black Zetsu, who is very good at surveillance, can know. Black Zetsu shook his head and said, no abnormalities have been found so far. Do we need to take the initiative? Obito nodded and said. I can't wait any longer, lest the night be long and dreamy. Orochimaru, this time we need your power to wake them up. Orochimaru nodded, as was his purpose for being here. Of course, not to help Obito and the others complete the so-called Project Tsuki no Mi. Just to see where the limits of Naruto are. Orochimaru was deeply shocked by Naruto's amazing achievements in such a short period of time. Orochimaru's heart has already had a very strong interest. As for being able to get Naruto's body as a replacement, Orochimaru has given up hope. He didn't even dare to get too close now, for fear of being snapped by Naruto. The combat power gap between the two sides has become wider and wider. Wake up. Orochimaru said in a hoarse voice. Inside the coffin, the three people who originally had their eyes tightly closed slowly opened them. This is. Senju Tobirama was the first to sense the anomaly. Impure World Reincarnation? Are you the caster? Senju Tobirama looked at Orochimaru with admiration in his eyes. I didn't expect a junior to learn this technique, your talent is good. Aren't we dead? Senju Hashirama looked at his body in amazement. Although it's a little different from the previous body, what's going on now? Is it Tobirama your art? The doubts of these two people are only because of Impure World Reincarnation. But the other person was surprised by the deviation of the plan. What's going on? Shouldn't Nagato revive me with the Rinne Tensai technique? Uchiha Madara looked at her body, and it was obvious that it was nothing like her prime. But that's okay, he still has a pair of Rinnegans now. Also has the ability to use the Rinnegan. At that time, as long as he wants, he can restore himself to the state after resurrection at any time. Then, he raised his head and looked at the fateful opponent beside him. Senju Hashirama. Madara, I didn't expect you to be alive. Senju Hashirama looked at Uchiha Madara in surprise, but also with some doubts. But what about your eyes? Where's your Sharingan? At this time, Uchiha Madara has Rinnegan, which is different from Senju Hashirama's memory. Senju Tobirama looked warily at Uchiha Madara, then at Orochimaru. Who was your opponent? He even summoned us. Orochimaru licked his tongue and said. Naturally, it is an enemy that fits your identities. I don't know if you can defeat that unparalleled genius ninja. Genius ninja. HMPH. Uchiha Madara snorted coldly, then turned to look at Black Zetsu, who was looking at King Dai. Obito. What the hell is going on? Why didn't things go according to plan? Obito was dumbfounded. You make it so, is it necessary for me to wear this mask? Obito. Orochimaru kept rummaging through his memory for a character named Obito who had a Sharingan. Finally, in the long Third Ninja World War, he thought of a famous minister. A ninja who sacrificed himself to fulfill Hitaki Kakashi's reputation as a copy ninja. Uchiha Obito. It turned out to be him. Orochimaru gave a dazed look. Unexpectedly, Uchiha Obito did not sacrifice at the beginning, but reached some kind of agreement with Uchiha Madara instead. But it seems that the current situation is different from their plan. And Uchiha Madara is dead, but the meaning in the words seems to be able to come back to life at any time. What exactly is this for? Orochimaru licked his lips, his heart full of desire to study. If it weren't for the current occasion, he might have directly activated the compulsory control of impure world reincarnation to let the three of them cooperate with him in the research. Obito was silent. Because the plan has progressed to this point, it is entirely his own initiative. But at the same time, Black Zetsu is deliberately guiding. So, Black Zetsu said lightly. The plan went awry and Nagato betrayed. Black Zetsu babbled nonsense when he opened his mouth. Obito glanced at him immediately, but soon realized that it was normal to say that in the current situation. It's just that Naruto stayed with Nagato for too long. No matter what you do, these hours are enough. Not to mention that Nagato is now at the end of his strength, and when Six Paths Pain is all defeated, Nagato has no resistance to Naruto at all. Therefore, there is only one possibility for this long wait. Nagato betrayed Shuai. As for whether Nagato takes the initiative or Naruto solicits, it doesn't matter to Obito. Uchiha Madara's attention was immediately diverted there. You said Nagato betrayed? Why didn't you stop it? He has always considered Black Zetsu to be his will incarnate. Why didn't Black Zetsu, who can be the incarnation of his own will, carry out the plan according to the original track? But who is Black Zetsu? Black Zetsu is an avatar of Otsutsuki Kagaya and has nothing to do with Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara is just a part of his plan. How can he serve Uchiha Madara with all his heart? Certainly. Before revealing his true identity, Black Zetsu still has to play his role dutifully. But how to explain this time? Black Zetsu really has no way. Too many mistakes. Simply Black Zetsu shut his mouth, and silence is golden. Just at this time, Senju Hashirama stepped up, changed the subject and resolved the crisis of Black Zetsu. What the hell are you planning? Didn't we both die together at the beginning? In Senju Hashirama's memory, the two of them died with all their might in the Valley of the End. How does it look like the situation is not what he knows? Didn't Uchiha Madara die in the first place? And also have this pair of eyes different from Sharingan? How is this going? Snort. Sure enough, the words of the old enemy immediately attracted Uchiha Madara's attention. This matter has nothing to do with you, Hashirama. How could it have nothing to do with me? Senju Hashirama frowned, because he took everything on himself with a wave of his hand. Even Senju Hashirama had no idea what was going on. But since it was caused by Uchiha Madara, it was because he, a good friend of Uchiha Madara, did not fulfill his responsibility. I don't mind if you guys want to argue, but why don't you take a look behind you? Senju Tobirama suddenly interjected, interrupting their conversation. The others were taken aback, and then turned their heads immediately. They were all focused on each other just now, and they didn't realize that someone came so close, but they didn't. Then, they saw 11 teenagers and girls, each wearing Konoha's forehead protector. Are they Konoha shinobi? Why are they all so young? Senju Hashirama froze for a moment. Although it's not that he hasn't experienced young ninjas going to the battlefield. But in his eyes, the age of these boys and girls in front of him is still too young. Moreover, they were able to approach quietly, and this fact also surprised him secretly. Don't underestimate them. Now they are about to complete the feat that you old antiques have not accomplished. Obito said quietly. Since Uchiha Madara and Senju brothers came on stage, he, who was originally behind the Akatsuki organization, has completely lost his composure. Standing with this group of big shots, he is a younger brother. There was no room for interjection at all. Uchiha Madara and others were taken aback. What old antique said must be them, but what is the feat that they have not accomplished? What did these kids do? The 5 major nations of the ninja world have all merged into the territory of the Nation of Fire. This is what they took the lead in doing within this month. Other small countries have also been incorporated into the territory of the Fire Nation. If this continues, only one country will exist in the entire ninja world. Orochimaru said in a hoarse voice. Hearing this, Uchiha Madara and others were dumbfounded. Honestly, it's a feat that none of them have managed. But just a fraction of the boys and girls in front of me? Has the current ninja world degenerated to this extent? Even a group of children can become kings and overlords? Uchiha Madara felt like his head was turning into a paste. I can't even imagine what's going on in the ninja world now. Senju Hashirama didn't feel happy when he heard the territory expansion of the Fire Nation, but sighed. Is it war again? In order to break the war at that time, he united with Uchiha Madara to take the lead in establishing Konoha village, and since then entered the ninja village era. At the same time, it also eliminated the war that could not be stopped at the beginning, allowing the ninja world to calm down for a period of time. But since his death, the ninja world still cannot escape the shadow of war, which makes Senju Hashirama feel very heavy. On the contrary, Senju Tobirama does not have much opinion on this matter. The only focus is on Sasuke. Is their leader a boy from Uchiha? Who is the current Hokage? Didn't he carry out my will? Uchiha Madara looked up and immediately saw Sasuke standing in the C position with a rebellious face. Looking at the Uchiha family fan emblem on his body, Uchiha Madara felt a little better. At least this ninja world is beyond hope, but at least they Uchiha are still strong enough. When Senju Hashirama and the others looked at Sasuke and the others with emotion, Sasuke was also very amazed. Because they recognized the Senju brothers. After all, their big heads are engraved on the Hokage rock, and they can see it when they look up, and it is difficult not to recognize them. Hey. Is this a joke? Isn't that first Hokage and second Hokage? Shikamaru's eyes widened, completely out of his usual scattershot. This kind of opponent is definitely not something they can deal with. That is the god of the ninja world who can calm down a troubled world. They are just a bunch of little ninjas, why fight against such opponents? Isn't this an illusion? Isn't the first generation and second generation already dead? Ya is also denying the reality they see. This kind of opponent is too outrageous, it is not an opponent they can fight at all. Little Sakura, Ino and others were even more frightened and trembling, wanting to escape from this terrifying place. This is simply not a battle they can participate in. Look. Is that Orochimaru? Seeing Neji saw Orochimaru in the corner with a very weak presence. The others immediately looked over. Shino said with a trembling voice. As I recall, Orochimaru had an ninjutsu that could bring the dead back to life. In this case, what we have in front of us is not an illusion, but the real first Hokage and second Hokage. Xiao Li pointed to Uchiha Madara curiously and said. Who is that guy who looks like Sasuke? His eyes are like that of pain. That's Rinnegan. Shikamaru's face was extremely serious. As for his identity, the only one who can appear at the same time as first Hokage and second Hokage is the legend of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Madara. Sasuke said lightly, but his eyes were full of excitement and desire to fight. In front of him is the strongest Uchiha clan ever. With Sasuke's pride, how could he admit it without a fight? They are not opponents you can deal with, leave it to me here. Can you do it alone? Shikamaru frowned. You can't show off at this time. We still have to find Naruto as soon as possible, otherwise we will not be their opponents at all. Hearing Naruto's name, Sasuke couldn't help curling his lips. The avatar that dissipated after the transplant operation on him obviously couldn't convey the situation here back. Now they can't find Naruto, indeed missing a powerful combat force. But without fighting, Sasuke will definitely not be reconciled. Especially with the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, the pupil power has been greatly enhanced, and now Sasuke has entered an unprecedented situation of expansion. I said, leave it to me here, you guys go to Naruto that guy. Neji gritted his teeth, then said, Miss Hinata, please get to Naruto as soon as possible, we will delay their steps here. But, you. Hinata said something. The opponent this time is different from the previous ones. These people are all legendary figures. They all grew up listening to legends about these people. Seeing that Neji has made up his mind, he can only grit his teeth and follow along. Hinata, hurry up, we won't last long. Little Sakura and Ino grabbed Hinata, who wanted to say something, and left in a hurry. Tien followed behind them, and when he left, he glanced back at the areas left behind. His eyes were full of resentment. She also wanted to stay, but she also knew that staying would only be a burden. Hinata, this is not the time to be indecisive. We must use your eyes to find Naruto's location. Little Sakura's face was very serious. They must race against time to find Naruto as soon as possible. If not, the consequences are small and Sakura doesn't dare to imagine. The other side. Senju Hashirama and others folded their arms and looked at the young man left behind with relief. Good willpower, facing us and being able to hold back and run away, is worthy of my Konoha ninja. Senju Tobirama rolled his eyes and said, "You might as well think about what we should do. The controllers are not restricting our actions, we must stop Uchiha Madara's madness now." His voice is very soft, but which one of the people present is not a person with sharp eyes and ears? Orochimaru smirked twice, leaned close to Senju Tobirama and said, "Don't worry, I won't let you take action against them, your opponent is someone else." Uchiha Madara wasn't interested in dealing with some kids, he said looking at Dai Wang. "Obito, these children are in your care." Under the mask, Obito's complexion suddenly became a liver color. How does he fight? He can't beat it at all. But he couldn't say that, it was too embarrassing. It was Black Zetsu who answered for him. He can't, he is not the opponent of those teenagers on the opposite side. Uchiha Madara suddenly looked at Obito with surprised eyes, as if to say, "What's the matter with you, little brother? How long has it been like this?" Black Zetsu continued. "If it weren't for their absolutely powerful power, it would be impossible to subdue all the shadows of Ninja Village and force them to join the Land of Fire. Isn't it true that your current ninjas are too weak?" Uchiha Madara asked back. Resisting the urge to roll his eyes, Black Zetsu said flatly, "It's only been more than 10 years since your death, and the ninja world hasn't changed that much yet." "It's been 10 years? Uchiha Madara said loudly. "For so long, what on earth is Nagato trying to do? And you, why didn't you control him to resurrect me?" Black Zetsu didn't expect a slip of the tongue to make Uchiha Madara notice the loophole. Now he just shut up. Can't say any more. It's easy to get into trouble if you talk too much. At this time, a thunder flashed in an instant. The target was directed at Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara frowned slightly, pulled out the flame fan behind him with his backhand, and bounced the thunder back with a backhand swing. Avoiding the thunder light sideways, Sasuke's eyes fell on the flame fan. "Looks like you really are Uchiha Madara. Just right, today we can officially decide who is the real strongest Uchiha." Uchiha Madara's face suddenly darkened, overreaching. Swish. In a flash, Uchiha Madara appeared opposite Sasuke. Sasuke stood on a branch, while Uchiha Madara, with his Rinnegan, stood in the air. "Looking at your pupil power, you must have awakened Mangekyo. Perhaps this made you expand your heart, but now you don't know what real power is. Today, I will let you see what is the real power zone." The condescending attitude and the contemptuous tone fully demonstrated Uchiha's arrogance. It was the first time that Sasuke faced others being so arrogant in front of him, which made him very, very upset. The real power? It's really something to wait and see. I just don't know if you, an old antique, have lost touch with the times. Sasuke's tone was full of sarcasm. Make Uchiha Madara very angry. Uchiha Madara didn't speak, and showed his strength directly. The pupil power was running crazily, and a tall blue giant suddenly appeared on his body. The tall giant looked down at the small figure like an ant at his feet. "See? That's real power." Sasuke curled his lips and said to the others. "Leave this guy to me, don't bother me." Shikamaru and others nodded frantically. "Even if you don't speak, we and he won't. Aren't we crazy, insisting on participating in the battle between monsters like you? Why don't we wait here honestly, waiting for Naruto to come over?" At least the others didn't seem to want to fight. Sasuke closed and opened his eyes, and suddenly revealed the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. A gigantic chakra also appears on his body, before transforming into a purple giant. And looking at the height, there is almost no difference with Uchiha Madara's Susanoo. Seeing this, Uchiha Madara was dumbfounded. This little guy not only has a Mangekyo Sharingan, but also has a full body similar to him. Susanoo? What a joke. How old am I to start Susanoo? How old is this kid? How could it be so exaggerated? On the ground, Senju Hashirama also sighed. It's really unbelievable. I didn't expect a young man to have a rival Susanoo. Senju Tobirama is wary. I didn't expect that without Uchiha Madara, there would be such a talented boy in the Uchiha clan. Hey, you, do you know the current situation of Konoha? Senju Tobirama set his sights on Orochimaru. Intuition told him that Orochimaru must be Konoha's person. Otherwise, an outsider may not even be able to contact impure world reincarnation. Not to mention learning and summoning them out. Orochimaru licked his tongue, just about to speak. Boom! A loud noise directly interrupted everyone and attracted their attention. The battle between Sasuke and Uchiha Madara begins. The two huge Susanos fought hand to hand first, and the movement of their huge bodies caused the ground to shake. With a wave of the chakra giant sword in his hand, he cut off the nearby mountaintops. The destructive power is a natural disaster. I just said, let Uchiha go, they're going to destroy the world sooner or later. Senju Tobirama looked gloomy. Senju Hashirama put his hand on his brother's shoulder nonchalantly. You don't have to be so hostile to Uchiha, do you? We were good teammates who fought side by side. That is you. Senju Tobirama rolled his eyes. He was the one who killed Uchiha Izuna with his own hands. How could have a good relationship with the Uchiha clan? If Senju Hashirama hadn't stopped him, he would have been killed by Uchiha Madara a long time ago. Obito looked at the gigantic Susanoo with envy in his eyes. If he has two Sharingans, he can also have his own Susanoo. Unfortunately, his other eye is with Kakashi. And Kakashi, who is now on his way to lead the Konoha shinobi army to conquer the small country, is not here at all. If it wasn't for the distance limit, he really wanted to sneak attack and take his eyes back. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be able to intervene in the battle now, making him seem particularly useless. At this time, Obito felt a gaze. Looking back, I was shocked. Orochimaru was looking at him with half-smile eyes. As if to say that I have seen through you. Obito felt hairy in his heart, and he didn't know where he had exposed his flaws. Sudden. He thought of what Uchiha Madara called him, and immediately understood why. Uchiha Obito, I remember that's your name. Orochimaru spoke suddenly, and immediately made the king's face completely gloomy. But there is a mask to cover it, and no one can see his face. Is it really Uchiha? Senju Tobirama curled his lips. He guessed something when he saw Sharingan. Didn't realize it was actually Uchiha. The others were also attracted by Orochimaru, who spoke suddenly. I remember. 4th Hokage had a student who died in 3 ninja world wars, and his name was Uchiha Obito. Same name, with Sharingan, wearing a mask to hide identity. I think, you didn't sacrifice, did you? Orochimaru looked at Obito with interest, but he didn't expect that the person who claimed to be Madara in front of him was actually a disciple of Namikaze Minato. If it is true, if his guess is correct, then the direction of things will be interesting. Orochimaru, these things have nothing to do with what you want to do. Black Zetsu spoke. Even though Uchiha Madara has been taken out by Impure World reincarnation now, Obito still has some effect. As an accomplice, it is obviously wrong for him not to say anything at this time. But now, Orochimaru's interest has risen, and he has 1st Hokage and 2nd Hokage in his hand. How could he give in casually? He wanted to find out more about what happened that year. 7 years ago. Orochimaru spat out a word, and Obito's eyelids twitched. But he didn't stop Orochimaru from continuing. This matter was indeed done by him, and there is no need to continue to hide it now. Seeing that this has reached the decisive battle, Obito is very clear that if they don't get rid of Naruto and them here, their project Tsuki no Mi will not be successful. On the contrary, if they were defeated by Naruto, the plan would not need to be implemented, and his identity would not need to be concealed. Shikamaru and them, hearing Orochimaru mention 7 years ago, frowned. 7 years ago, it happened to be the year they were born. And in that year, a major event happened in Konoha village that shocked the entire ninja world. 9 Tails ran amok, 4th Kazekage sacrificed to seal 9 Tails. This incident shocked everyone who knew Namikaze Minato. Because they knew that with Namikaze Minato's strength, there was no need to sacrifice themselves if they wanted to seal 9 Tails. But as a result, Namikaze Minato died. What happened in Konoha village at the beginning has become a mystery. No one knows what happened in the first place. Why did the sealed good 9 Tails suddenly go berserk? They set their sights on Orochimaru, expecting an answer from Dazi. Orochimaru looked at Obito, chuckled and said, "You did it, right? Obito. How do you feel after giving birth to your own master and mother?" "Sure enough. I said that people from the Uchiha clan can't be trusted." Senju Tobirama frowned tightly, looking at Obito with deep disgust. Senju Tobirama has a deep fear of Uchiha since he knew the Uchiha clan and the process of Uchiha clan opening their eyes. This kind of paranoid group will only bring endless disasters to the ninja world. And everything now seems to be reflecting his conjecture. "I did it, but I don't regret it," Obito said lightly. The moment Lin died in front of my eyes, my life was completely dead. Everything I do now is to lead the world to a better future, a future where there will be no more wars. For this reason, no matter how much sacrifice I make, I will not hesitate. Everyone else frowned at Obito, as if they were watching a psycho. A kind person like Senju Hashirama thinks Obito's thinking is a little abnormal. Although I also look forward to that future, it is impossible to achieve. Young man, you should wake up as soon as possible. Orochimaru didn't care about this. Anyway, the future depends on the result of this battle. And the most critical figure in the battle has not yet appeared. He doesn't mind chatting. Rin, is Namikaze Minato's disciple too? I remember, she was killed by your friend Kakashi, right? Obito's eyes tightened suddenly. Shikamaru and the others couldn't help but exclaim. Ms. Kakashi? I remember Mr. Kakashi is also a disciple of 4th Hokage, right? Could it be that Mr. Kakashi killed another disciple of 4th Hokage? How is that possible? Teacher Kakashi is not like that. Wait. This guy only shows one eye all the time, doesn't he have the other eye? Could it be that Mr. Kakashi's Sharingan belongs to this person? The relationship here is so complicated. What happened in the first place? Shikamaru and others did not expect that the relationship between Kakashi, Obito and Lin is so complicated. It's like watching a bloody drama at 8 o'clock. Obito's pupils locked suddenly, and he looked at Orochimaru with a low voice. It seems that you know a lot. Orochimaru smiled lightly and said. After all, I was still in Konoha at that time, and I didn't know much about what happened in the village. Obito was silent, and then slowly took off his mask. Seeing his distorted face, Shikamaru and the others couldn't help but exclaim. It's just too ugly. Orochimaru looked at Obito with great interest, and then at Obito, White Zetsu to be precise. He keenly felt that there seemed to be something similar to White Zetsu in Obito. At this point, it doesn't make sense for me to keep hiding it. And Uchiha Madara has appeared, and with the help of 1st Hokage and 2nd Hokage controlled by you, even Uzumaki Naruto can't resist. The scale of victory has tipped in our favor. This is right, because I am directly dissatisfied. Doesn't this mean that they are all a piece of cake? Although compared with the legendary characters on the opposite side, they are indeed a piece of cake. But you can't say that. This is too underestimating. Hey. Do you dare to fight with me? Believe it or not, we'll beat the shit out of you. Obito's eyes swept away, and the Sharingan in his pupils suddenly flew away. Careful. Surprised, Neji hastily pressed Yaba's head to prevent him from meeting Obito's eyes. But it was too late. Obito's Sharingan can control the tailed beast. A mere tooth with almost zero illusion resistance was hit by the illusion as soon as the line of sight came into contact. At the moment, he is smiling stupidly, immersed in the world of illusion and unable to extricate himself. Neji's face sank, and he immediately put his hands on Fang's body, and then poured his own chakra into it, disrupting the flow of chakra in Fang's body. Untie. Ya suddenly woke up, and no longer dared to look at Obito. His face was full of fear. I just saw tons of cats surrounding me. They're so big, I can't get away. When the others heard this, the worry on their faces suddenly became speechless. Neji breathed a sigh of relief. Obito didn't have the same knowledge as them, otherwise he would be able to directly control the spirit of the tooth, and turn his sword against them. Far away. The battle between Sasuke and Uchiha Madara intensifies. Several meteorites also collided in the sky, shaking the sky and shaking the earth. The scene is called a spectacular. Others had to move places in order not to be affected. But the tacit understanding of identity is that the two sides did not fight. Shikamaru et al. Are not sure, and Obito didn't dare to act rashly. Although he controlled Fang with just one illusion, it was by surprise. If we fight with these little ghosts, even if we rely on the Kamui space to make him invincible, but facing their elusive speed and all kinds of powerful ninjutsu, we can't find a good solution for a while method. If there is no certainty of victory, it is better to keep it mysterious, and let them throw the mouse. As for Orochimaru, he was just waiting for Naruto to come out. Because the Senju brothers' spree he prepared was specially prepared for Naruto. The scene was deadlocked for a while. I was suddenly very curious. Why did Mr. Kakashi kill that person named Lin? Tooth suddenly asked in a low voice. As far as I know, Mr. Inkasi is not a good user. Shikamaru also whispered. Although Mr. Kakashi looks very lazy, he is the elite jonin of the village, and he does not know how to perform too many assassination missions. But Kakashi-sensei really doesn't look like someone who would hurt a ninja from the same village. Snort. Obito snorted coldly. Although the voices of Kiba and Shikamaru are very small, but they are not far away, they are people with sharp eyes and ears, and they can easily hear their whispers. Shikamaru and Kiba were also a little embarrassed. But the tooth is more curious than embarrassing. By the way, the one with the wrinkled face, aren't you curious? Wrinkled face. Obito suddenly regretted that the illusion given to Ya just now was only of that low level. HMPH. What's there to say? I saw it with my own eyes. He killed Lin with his own hands. I don't care what happened here, anyway, my purpose is very simple, to create a perfect future, to create a future where she exists. The scene was deadlocked again. Sudden. With a chuckle, a familiar voice came to everyone's ears. Don't you want to know what happened back then? There was a gleam in Orochimaru's eyes. Obito turned his head abruptly, staring at Naruto who suddenly appeared. Shikamaru and others looked behind in surprise, as if looking at the savior. Naruto is indeed their savior too. But following Naruto, not only Naruto, but also Nagato, whose injuries were all healed, and Konan who supported Nagato. He had just gone through a lengthy operation, and although all of Nagato's injuries were healed, his body was still a little weak. Simply put, it is not nutritious. After all, for a long time, Nagato only relied on Geto Statue to maintain his life activities. Now that I have suddenly left Geto Statue, my body naturally lacks a lot of nutrients. The original celebrities persuaded them to leave here as soon as possible. But Nagato insisted on seeing Naruto win. Naruto was not reluctant, so he brought the two of them over. Obito said with a gloomy face. You weren't born when Lin died, so what do you know? Senju Hashirama looked at Naruto in amazement. Is he the one you're waiting for? He looks like he's only 7 or 8 years old. Senju Tobirama frowned slightly. I feel the power of 9 tails in him. Orochimaru licked his tongue and said excitedly. Uzumaki Naruto, the son of 4th Hokage, the current 9 tails Jinchuriki, is also the strongest ninja in the whole ninja world. And you are the last trial I gave him. Brother Senju frowned suddenly. But they could not resist Orochimaru's control. Obviously such an outstanding junior, that in the end he will be buried in the hands of the two of them who are dead. What a pity. Naruto came to the side of the little friend and stood up, looking at the other side's lineup with a smile. The lineup is gorgeous, is this prepared for me? I didn't expect to be able to communicate with 1st Hokage and 2nd Hokage, it is really an honor for me. Then, he set his sights on Obito. You took the mask off. Looks like your identity has been revealed, Obito. Obito's pupils locked tightly. His identity was revealed just now, and Naruto wasn't there at all. Why would Uzumaki Naruto know his identity? And Uzumaki Naruto seems to know what happened back then. No, not right. It's all just Uzumaki Naruto's bluff. He's only 7 years old. What can he know? Don't be fooled by him. Obito screamed wildly in his heart. But on the surface, it didn't stop Naruto's words. On the one hand, it would appear that Obito is guilty, which further proves that something is wrong. Secondly, Obito also wants to know what Naruto knows about these things. If Naruto really knew something, some doubts in Obito's mind might also be answered. Except for the sound of fighting in the distance, it was very quiet here. At the end where Orochimaru was, Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama stood in front of him like his bodyguards. Obito and Black Zetsu watched coldly from the sidelines. Because of the upcoming fight, Obito does not intend to participate. Unless you find an extremely suitable time, but Obito will most likely not go to trouble with Naruto. At least at this stage, he doesn't have the ability to trouble Naruto. However, if he can get the Rinnegan on Nagato, then he has the capital to fight Naruto. But now is obviously not the right time. Naruto's side. Shikamaru and others gathered behind him, confronting Oi Wong and others. At the same time looked at Konan and Nagato with some curiosity. Konan was an enemy before, but now coming with Naruto means that Konan's enemy status has been lifted. And what they were more curious about was Nagato, who was as weak as skin and bones. In his eyes, Rinnegan, who was the same as Tiondo Pain, attracted most of their attention. Naruto didn't mean to explain too much. Instead, he continued the topic just now and said lightly. What I'm going to talk about happened in the Third Ninja World War more than 10 years ago. The Uchiha boy turned hero story. Obito's eyelids twitched slightly. Needless to say, this Uchiha boy is him. Naruto saw it and gave a smile that annoyed Obito. But when Naruto looked at Obito, there was no warmth in his eyes. At the time, his team had a very important mission to blow up the Kanabi Bridge. This bridge is related to the enemy's supply line. Once it is destroyed, the local supply will inevitably be insufficient. So, the local government also deployed heavy troops here to prevent travel. Obito's eyes narrowed slightly, as if seeing the previous scenes again. And Naruto continued to tell people who didn't know what happened at that time. The boy and his squad were ambushed, one companion was taken away and another was seriously injured. Under the critical situation, the young man finally awakened the family's blood inheritance limit and successfully killed the enemy. But when rescuing his companions who had been taken away, the boy fell into the trap again and was hit by a large number of rocks. Half of his body was destroyed. Tooth couldn't help but said, "Is there something wrong with this guy's brain? How can he fall into the trap twice in a row?" Obito's eyes twitched, and he stared hard at his teeth. Shikamaru looked at the other half of Obito's distorted face, looking thoughtful. Obviously, the boy here is talking about the guy named Obito in front of him. Didn't expect this guy to be Konoha's hero before? But why is it like this now? Curiosity immediately filled Shikamaru's head. If it weren't for the situation, he would even want to find a place to sit down and hold popcorn as a melon-eating crowd. Although now he is the people who eat melons. Hearing his past experience so clearly described, Obito's eyes became more and more gloomy. Not many people know about that. And it happened before Naruto was born. Logically speaking, Naruto shouldn't know this. But the current situation is that Naruto knows, and knows a lot and clearly. Orochimaru said calmly at this time. The result of the matter is that Mr. Obito realized that his own death was approaching, so he gave his newly awakened Sharingan to his blind teammate Kakashi, and then died. But judging from the current situation, he is not dead, but is planning more things behind the scenes. Orochimaru licked his tongue and looked at Obito with interest. "I'm curious, who saved you from that kind of injury? Half of your body was smashed to pieces, there is no possibility of you surviving. But you not only survived, but also possessed such great power." Senju Hashirama looked at Obito's body, frowning slightly. "I always feel that there is something familiar in your body, like wood style, but there are some differences." Senju Tobirama curled his lips with an "I knew it" expression. "That's why I say that the Uchiha clan is not to be trusted at all." Orochimaru's eyes were fixed only on Obito. A brilliant researcher, Orochimaru is just too curious. The eyes of the others also fell on Obito, as if they were waiting for an answer from him. Obito's face was gloomy, and he slowly opened his mouth, but Uchiha Madara. Naruto said the answer first, which attracted the attention of others. Old Uchiha Madara rescued him. Afterwards, Naruto looked at Obito and said meaningfully, "Do you think it was a coincidence that Uchiha Madara rescued you? You happened to be near his hideout?" Obito narrowed his eyes, waiting for Naruto's answer. Black Zetsu instinctively sensed that something was wrong. But at this time, he had to hide his sense of existence. Even if Obito is sacrificed, Uchiha Madara is still there anyway. But if he is also confessed, it may be difficult to escape from the hands of Uzumaki Naruto in front of him. Black Zetsu thinks that he is the last barrier to revive Otsutsuki Kagaya, absolutely nothing can happen. At this moment, he had already retreated quietly, ready to escape immediately when the situation was not good. Naruto continued. At the beginning, why was it so coincidental that when Nohara Lin was hunted down, a white Zetsu would inform you of this? Obito looked at Naruto with wide eyes in disbelief. Except for a few people at that time, no one else knew about this matter. Why would Uzumaki Naruto know about this? At this moment, Uzumaki Naruto's words became credible in Dai Wang's heart. What happened in the first place? Obito stepped forward anxiously. Why did Lin appear there at that time? Naruto's line of sight was slightly deflected, looking at Black Zetsu who was retreating. Then you'll have to ask Black Zetsu who claims to be the will of Uchiha Madara. Self-proclaimed. A trace of doubt flashed in Obito's eyes, and he looked at Black Zetsu. What does he mean by that? Black Zetsu said calmly. Are you doubting me? When have I ever done something against you? Don't forget, he is our enemy. Do you believe what the enemy says? Obito's mind was full of doubts, but why would he know that? I want to know too. Black Zetsu shouted in his heart, but nothing changed on the surface. Perhaps, he learned something from Kakashi, and then he deduced something by himself? This kind of thing can be easily speculated as long as you know some information. Yeah. Obito was still puzzled. But what Black Zetsu said is not entirely unreasonable. Also present at the time was Kakashi, although Kakashi did not know that he was there, nor did he know the conversation between himself and White Zetsu. But relying on Naruto's ingenuity and the information collected so far, it is not so difficult to deduce such a story. But, is it really the case? Naruto said lightly. Nohara Rin is there, the real reason is because of you, Obito. Uchiha Madara specially asked Black Zetsu to lead Nohara Rin to Yuanyan village in order to stimulate your full potential. Mist Shinobi sealed the unstable three tails in Nohara Rin's body. In order to let Nohara Rin return to Konoha, let three tails carry out sabotage operations. Black Zetsu felt his scalp go numb, if he got scalp again. Uzumaki Naruto knows a lot more important things than he thought. What happened back then? Naruto seemed to have seen it with his own eyes, it was so clear. But Black Zetsu is very sure. There were only certain people who had to be there, the others never came close. Black Zetsu is very sure of this. But why would Uzumaki Naruto know so clearly? Nohara Rin is also a hero worthy of admiration. She knew that going back would only bring disaster, but she wanted to commit suicide but was restrained by Uchiha Madara because of her heart, so she couldn't commit suicide. It can only be driven in the direction of Konoha by the Mist Shinobi ninja. After that, you saw it with your own eyes, Ren. Clap clap. Orochimaru clapped his hands, his eyes wide with a smile. It's really a good show about sacrifice. I didn't expect that there would be such a secret behind the girl's death. Although Orochimaru hadn't defected at that time, he had lost interest in fighting and just wanted to do more research. Didn't pay attention to these things. He only knew Namikaze Minado's ground thorns sacrificed one after another. In the end only Kakashi was left. I didn't expect such a wonderful story. Obito finally spoke, his voice hoarse. I know that Lin committed suicide, she hit Kakashi's Chidori by herself. But what does it matter? As long as Project Tasuki no Mi is completed and everyone in this world is trapped in a world of illusion, then there will be a perfect future without war. I can also bring Lin back to life and stay by my side. There was resentment in Obito's eyes. As long as you get rid of the guy who is in the way, no one will be able to stop my plan. As long as you die, everything will go in the perfect direction. Naruto looked at Obito's hoarse cry with extremely cold eyes. So, that's why you sneaked into the village and unleashed the 9 tails when I was born, killing my parents. Obito was taken aback suddenly, and then a lot of fine beads of sweat appeared on his face. He knows. I must escape. The alarm bell in Obito's heart kept ringing, sending out a severe warning. Naruto knew what happened that night, and he, the instigator, must not be forgiven by Uzumaki Naruto. Obito knew that he was no match for Naruto at all. If Naruto was going to kill him regardless, he couldn't resist at all. Now, the group must escape. Obito immediately activates Kamui's ability. Uzumaki appears from the right eye, absorbing his body into it. Naruto was unmoved. He just stared at the place where Obito disappeared. Stupid guy, not only being used by others, but also willingly obeying the words of the enemy. Uchiha Madara wanted to carry out the Eye Project because anticipated the constant disputes in the ninja world in the future. But your reason is extremely ridiculous. Naruto left Obito alone. Anyway, no matter where Obito fled, he couldn't escape his grasp. Because, he has spread his avatars all over the entire ninja world, and with the super wide observation Haki sensing distance, as long as Obito appears, he can immediately know where Obito is. Obito is doomed. Therefore, Naruto is not in a hurry for this moment. He set his sights on Orochimaru and first Hokage and second Hokage. It's rare to have this opportunity. I hope the two of you can make a move without leaving any room. I also want to see what level 1 have reached now. Orochimaru's eyes brightened, and he knew that the scene he was most looking forward to was finally coming. He immediately wanted to control the actions of the two of them. But Senju Tobirama turned around as if he had expected it. There is no need to control us, since it is an invitation to fight on the back, we will naturally not back down. We're going to give it our all because this teenager deserves it. Senju Hashirama laughed heartily. Let's have a good fight. I hope you can pass the test of our two brothers. A smile appeared in Naruto's eyes. I look forward to the two giving me enough surprises. However, let me, a junior, give the two seniors a small surprise. Snapped. Naruto put his hands together. Seeing this familiar pose, Senju Tobirama couldn't help but twitch his eyes. Senju Hashirama also felt the extremely familiar fluctuations. Wood style the tree world is coming. In an instant, the earth shook and the mountains shook. After unlocking the advanced wood style and possessing the same wood style strength as Senju Hashirama, how could Naruto not practice it? After he learned it, the clones began to practice wood style non-stop. In just a few days, most of the land of the Wind Country, which was originally a desert, has been covered by dense forests. The territory of the Kingdom of the Wind is no joke. The Naruto clones were able to turn all the desert into a forest, which shows how hard the clones are. Right now, Senju Hashirama couldn't help but be amazed watching his familiar ninjutsu being performed in other people's hands. I didn't expect that I would see this technique in the hands of an outsider. It really surprised me. However, something that surprised him happened soon after. Within a range of more than 10 kilometers, huge trees controlled by Naruto grew. This range has gone beyond Senju Hashirama. Even Sasuke and Uchiha Madara, who were fighting fiercely, noticed the movement here and stopped for a while. More than Senju Hashirama in scope. The summoned giant trees are each more than 100 meters long, and there are so many types that it is dazzling. It's spectacular. Senju Hashirama looked up at the giant tree forest in front of him and couldn't help but let out an admiration. Senju Tobirama's forehead was covered with fine sweat. Having fought side by side with his elder brother Senju Hashirama for so many years, he knows very well how exaggerated his brother's skills are. But judging from the current huge forest, it is even more exaggerated than the death forest created by Senju Hashirama. It's really scary for young people. However, we are not going to catch it without a fight. Wood style the tree world is coming. Senju Hashirama clapped his hands, and also summoned a large number of trees. The forests summoned by both sides are entangled, making this area look so chaotic. Shikamaru and others fled as quickly as possible, for fear of being entangled by these trees. Although I don't know what these trees can do, but if they are entangled, they will definitely not be able to carry them with their small bodies. Isn't this too scary? It barely flew into the sky. Looking down from the height, it seems that countless giant trees and vines are like brown pythons, entangled with each other. Under this terrifying power like a natural disaster, the insignificance of these human beings is vividly reflected. And the person who caused all this is Konoha's former ninja god, and Yunye's current strongest ninja. After this battle, Naruto may also be honored as the god of the ninja world by other ninjas. This is completely beyond the understanding of ordinary ninjas. It is simply not an existence that can be fought alone. It means that we are still far from Naruto. Shikamaru couldn't help but sigh. Others felt the same way and nodded. But is this the level they can achieve with their hard work? Not to mention wood style, even the ninjutsu taught by Naruto, they have never surpassed Naruto's level. Although they have reached the level of elite ninjas in terms of strength, they have not yet reached the level of shadows. It is even more unknown how much difference there is from the combat level below. Water style water severing wave. A water line shot across like a high-pressure water gun, cutting all the objects it touched into two pieces. Even the giant tree made by the wood style full of life cannot stop for a moment in front of this powerful water style ninjutsu. The water line strafed horizontally, then turned around abruptly, heading towards Naruto in the air. Naruto has already seen the power of the waterline, so naturally he will not do nothing. At some point, Naruto's eyes turned into a spiral Rinnegan again. Facing the incoming waterline, Naruto just slowly stretched out his right hand. Sealing seal. An invisible barrier appeared on his body, blocking the extremely sharp waterline. What's this? Senju Tobirama frowned. He has never fought against Rinnegan, and he feels puzzled and uneasy about Rinnegan's ability. Be careful, I have a bad feeling. Senju Hashirama also frowned slightly. At this moment, Senju Tobirama took out a handful of kunai and threw it in Naruto's direction with a whoosh. And at this time, Naruto also started the next move. Increase. The faint words fell, and then from the tip of his extended finger, a ray as thin as a cicada silk suddenly appeared. The speed of the ray was extremely fast, spanning the distance between the two sides in the blink of an eye, and appearing in front of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama. Whoosh! Senju Tobirama suddenly disappeared, dodging the ray's attack. But Senju Hashirama couldn't dodge it, and the rays easily penetrated his body. And with the movement of Naruto's fingers, Senju Hashirama's body was cut open immediately. However, the cut Senju Hashirama becomes wood cut in two. It's Senju Hashirama's wood clone. And Senju Tobirama, who escaped the attack, also appeared behind Naruto inconceivably. Flying Thunder God technique. However, Naruto didn't panic. Naruto is very clear about the abilities of Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama. How could it be completely unprepared? Behind him, the ninja sword in Senju Tobirama's hand has been raised, facing Naruto's defenseless back. But at this moment, the powerful repulsion instantly sent Senju Tobirama flying. Shenluo Tianjung, but that's not all. Naruto turned his head and stretched out his palm towards Senju Tobirama, who bounced away. Universal pull. Senju Tobirama's body was subjected to a strong pulling force, and flew towards Naruto uncontrollably. On Naruto's other hand is Rasengan fused with tailed beast bomb. Oops. Senju Tobirama knew he was careless. Before he hastily figured out Naruto's ability, he rushed straight up. But maybe it was also because he knew that he was an impure world reincarnation body, so he rushed forward without any scruples. Because he knows he will not die. The moment he sucked Senju Tobirama over, Naruto pressed the tailed beast bomb Rasengan in his other hand on Senju Tobirama's chest. But tailed beast bomb Rasengan didn't explode, but brought Senju Tobirama far away for several kilometers with a powerful impact. Subsequently, everyone saw a dazzling white light appearing in the distance, followed by the aftermath of an explosion that gradually spread, like a big bowl turned upside down on the ground. A few seconds after the shockwave of the explosion rushed to the front, the sound of the explosion entered everyone's ears. And Senju Tobirama, at the center of the explosion, will certainly not recover easily. And this scene also fell into the eyes of Uchiha Madara in the distance. What a horrible brat. Then, he looked at the unconscious Sasuke. Of course, you are the same. I didn't expect someone like you from my Uchiha clan. In time, it may only be a matter of time before you surpass me. Before, when both sides were attracted by the movement here, Uchiha Madara took advantage of Sasuke's unpreparedness and succeeded in a sneak attack. But he didn't kill Sasuke. Because he knows that the current Sasuke is not his opponent. If the battle continues, he will win sooner or later. Killing a talented Uchiha tribe like this made even Uchiha Madara feel a little sideways. It's a pity that you were born in the wrong era. This world is about to enter a new era. In that era, you will live a peaceful life. Looking back, Uchiha Madara looked at the wriggling forest in the distance, and sneaked past without a sound. He wants to learn more about Naruto's strength, find Naruto's weakness, subdue Naruto with one blow, and take out the 9 tails from Naruto's body. Yes. The moment Naruto appeared, Uchiha Madara already felt 9 tails chakra. For Uchiha Madara, who once controlled 9 tails chakra is all too familiar with 9. What a terrible destructive power. Senju Hashirama frowned. He didn't have any negative emotions because his brother was defeated. After all, they can't die in their current state. And they are already dead, so what if they die again? Orochimaru is no longer on the battlefield. This battle is not something he can participate in at this level. A little carelessness could kill him. Although Orochimaru's life-saving skills are top-notch, no one wants to die if he can survive. There is no need for that. As for the picture of the battle, he can see it through Senju Hashirama's eyes. After his research and transformation, it is not difficult for him to share the vision of the impure world reincarnation body. Amazing. As expected of Naruto-kun. Orochimaru licked his tongue in disgust, and looked at Naruto in the sky like a god through Senju Hashirama's gaze. The desire in the eyes is so strong. But then, this desire was suppressed by him. Orochimaru knew that the current Naruto was not something he could provoke at all. Naruto wanted to crush him as easily as he crushed an ant on the side of the road. I really want to have that body. Orochimaru sighed unwillingly, suddenly changed his expression, and looked at Obito who appeared behind him. Didn't you run away? Why are you back? Obito's face twitched, and he cursed secretly. Whether Laozi leaves or stays is none of your business. If it weren't for you being useful now, Laozi will get rid of you directly. How's the battle going? How about Uchiha Madara? Obito asked sullenly. Hearing this, Orochimaru changed his field of vision, and then saw that everything in his eyes was receding at an extremely fast speed. He knows what that means. The owner of the vision is moving at breakneck speed. Because the speed is so fast, the snake doesn't even know that Uchiha Madara is advancing there. However, he was able to sense Uchiha Madara's position and found that Uchiha Madara was quietly approaching Naruto and Senju Hashirama's fighting range. Since Uchiha Madara is coming here, it basically means that Sasuke has lost. Think here. Orochimaru said with a chuckle. Sure enough, he deserves to be called the god of the ninja world, Even though Sasuke-kun's strength is already incredible, he is still powerless to resist Uchiha's ancestors. Obito heard the words, nodded silently, and then said, "What is he doing now?" Orochimaru said flatly, "It's natural to look for opportunities. Are you still standing in such a place to avoid being hunted down like someone?" Obito's mouth twitched again. He wanted to rush up and tear Orochimaru's mouth open. But right now he can't do that. He will also rely on Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara summoned by Orochimaru to eradicate Naruto, a henchman. Even if he wanted to kill Orochimaru, it could only be after this. Orochimaru can naturally feel Obito's killing intent towards him. But so what? Orochimaru didn't care at all. With his ability to escape, he would be fine with Obito's life. If only Obito wasn't capable of killing him. It's not that Orochimaru looks down on Obito, but compared to those people on the battlefield, what kind of onion is he Obito? The moment Naruto showed his murderous intent, he fled far away, which is really a loss of Daiu's identity as one of the masterminds behind the scenes. Although Obito has been fooled from beginning to end, but I have to admit that Obito has done a lot of things that shocked the ninja world. It's just that what he did was very disgusting. Naruto's power feels stronger and stronger. Shikamaru couldn't help but sigh. The scope of this explosion, I am afraid that it will fall on Konoha village, and the trapped leaves will be directly razed to the ground? When the others thought of this possibility, they shivered. Very powerful indeed. Suddenly, Nagato, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up, startling the others. "Scared me to death. Why are you still here?" Fang quickly backed away, shouting at Nagato. Nagato was not annoyed, just said lightly, "I have already made an agreement with Naruto. When he unifies the ninja world, I will manage one side for him to prevent war from appearing. So, I'm with you now." Xiao Li suddenly clenched his right hand and hammered on his left hand. "So that's why you've been following us. I just thought you were unconvinced and wanted to fight Naruto or us." Neji couldn't help but rolled his eyes and said, "Stop talking nonsense, we can't beat this guy. Don't look at his thin body, the chakra contained in his body is higher than all of us combined. After all, the Uzumaki tribe is famous for having a lot of chakra, so Nagato naturally has a lot of chakra in his body. Moreover, Naruto specially reduced the consumption of Rinnegan in Nagato's eyes during the treatment, so Nagato did not need to spend more effort to maintain the existence of Rinnegan, and the chakra in his body also changed a lot in disguise. The Rinnegan in Nagato's eyes belongs to Uchiha Madara, just like the Sharingan that Obito gave to Kakashi. It is not my own eyes, and if they cannot be closed actively, these eyes are just a burden to consume chakra at ordinary times. Maybe it can provide a lot of convenience in the battle, but it also lowers their growth limit. For Kakashi, who became a Jonin at the age of 12, if Obito's eyes did not drag him down, Kakashi's strength must be more than that now. Wait, there's movement over there. Shino pointed to the distant battlefield in surprise. The fact that Shino, who is usually extremely calm, can even look surprised, shows how shocking the situation there is. However, when they turned their heads and looked, they saw a huge Buddha statue appearing in front of them. Conservative estimates have a height of several hundred meters. Taller than the perfect Susanoo shown by Sasuke and Uchiha Madara. And behind that Buddha statue, there are thousands of outstretched palms. What the hell is this? It's so big, much bigger than Sasuke's Susanoo. Is this the strength of first Hokage? It's incredible. Can Naruto survive this kind of confrontation? Trust Naruto and don't forget that Naruto has never let us down. But this opponent is too disappointing. It's first Hokage after all. For the first time now, I am worried about whether Naruto can win. The opponent is really terrible. How should I fight such a big thing? What other arms are there? It's not a decoration at first glance. Not only Shikamaru they marvel. Even Nagato and Konan on the side were extremely surprised. Nagato sighed even more. Before I thought I was a god with Rinnegan, but in front of them, I'm afraid I'm nothing?